Niggas are gonna go through every ailment there is. You can't be worrying about that, because if we can keep worrying about the trouble that the masses are in, we never cultivate anything among ourselves to get to the high level in which the masses gonna be a part of. Because ultimately, all this shit got to be destroyed. This shit is over.
I am inevitable.
All right, we are live. We are live for effect. Welcome to 90 Day Network. Yeah. Happy Sunday to everybody. We got to get back into the Epstein Files, the newly released Epstein Files, where they said they released over 3.5 million files, and a lot of people names was in there. A lot of other names.
Nobody went to jail.
Nobody went to jail, right? A lot of other names popped up in there. Bill Gates, Bill Barr, more Prince Andrew, Elon Musk, Jay-Z. You know what I mean? I seen
people unfollowing Beyonce on account of Jay-Z name being in the Epstein files.
She
lost 10 million followers.
Yeah, Beyonce got a lot of followers that she lost, and they tearing her
over 10 million,
and they tearing her comment section up.
I wonder if they're gonna F up brand deals for them.
Yeah, they already started unfollowing.
They trying to put them back in the poorhouse, because if they lose them brand deals, that's poorhouse.
Yeah, remember we just went over it yesterday on the other live stream, all the people that unfollowed me. And that fell.
That's the psyop, y'all. That's the psyop right there of them getting rid of these individuals, getting them out of the way by smearing their names and then snatching their brand deals, then put them in the poorhouse, and they won't have much defenses.
Shout out to y'all just coming in. Please double tap the screen. Happy Sunday to everybody. Hope everybody's Sunday going good. We about to get into it. We got this Epstein unreleased leak, this leaked interview of Epstein with Steve Bannon. They added to the files. It's like an hour or something of an interview with Epstein talking about the collapse of the financial system and a lot more other things. Rockefellers. He's talking about a lot of stuff in this interview. So we're gonna get into that. We gotta get into Bill Gates. So Bill Gates. Let's go ahead and get into Mr. Billy Boy, man.
Mr. Bill Gates. Now, y'all know he been Epstein's homie for a minute. People knew this information a while back, a long time ago.
Yes,
like
sir.
This has always been public information.
Yes, sir.
It always has. Like, everybody knew that Bill Gates worked with Epstein, and his wife ended up divorcing him because of it.
Right.
It's been out there.
Yes, sir.
So they releasing stuff, all this stuff from the Epstein files, but nobody's getting investigated or going to jail.
Right.
Because if it was an investigation, they wouldn't even mention it. They wouldn't even have put it in those files.
No.
If it was an active, ongoing investigation, because that's how the system works.
Right. There's no investigation taking
There's no
place.
investigation. That means they're gonna say they didn't find nothing on Bill, even though he visited the island, even though he had close relations with Epstein. He still ain't guilty of nothing. That's how it worked. That's how it worked. I mean, unless he was Diddy or somebody, then they would have been shipped his ass away. If he was R. Kelly, if he was one of those types of individuals.
Oh, one of those.
He would have been. Yeah, he would have been locked up. But he ain't like Michael Jeffries or Abercrombie.
Yeah.
And like Hugh Hefner, the Playboy man. Like, he ain't like, you know what I mean? If you like that, you don't get touched. You know what I'm saying? So that's niggas like Diddy, you going to jail. But if you Bill Gates or any of them individuals, Mike Jeffries or anybody, you good. You get your name smeared for a little bit, but then guess what? In time, people will forget about it, and you business as usual, like the Catholic Church do when they got caught.
Right.
Business.
So we got to get into this Epstein, Bill Gates insert. All right. So before we get in that, this video is sponsored by 90dayherbals.com. We sponsor our own live stream. We sponsor our own, shows with our own products. So before let's get into this quick commercial. We'll be right back with the info.
Introducing the Night and Day Self-Care Collection. Pure herbal soap and body oil, crafted from high-quality natural ingredients. NightandDayHerbals.com. Self-care starts here. pure herbal soap, luxury body oil, high-quality natural ingredients. Shop the self-care collection now at nightandayherbals.com.
All right, y'all, we are back.
Yep,
Let's get
yep,
it. So
yep.
we got Bill Gates. So Bill Gates, you know, name was mentioned in the newly released Epstein Files, basically begging for antibiotics from, for his wife, Melinda Gates. So they saying he basically, was messing with a Russian, I don't know if it was a woman or a teenager, but Bill Gates basically got burnt, allegedly. And, so they put the whole insert of that from the email into the files. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So it says, "Dear Bill, I cannot believe that you have chosen to disregard our friendship developed of over 6 years. I'm aware of the incident happened. It is how each of us has chosen to deal with the unfortunate event that has me dismayed beyond comprehension. You decided to discharge me from my job," had Larry. Let me go down here. All right, let me skim through some of this shit because a lot of this shit ain't even really important. This is just some guy, Larry guy. All right, so I'm gonna get to the Melinda Gates shit. He says, "All right, so you have told me that Melinda insists on me coming and communicating with you unless Larry is copied or present. It said, though you have consistently maintained that I could not have done a better job and that I was unpaid compared to the contribution. You didn't have all sense of fairness and frankly decency. Said that the generous and comprehension." Let me go down here. They got a lot of other shit going on. All right. Hold on, let me go down. All right, I lost my spot. Hold on. Okay, all right. So it says compensation for keeping. Hold on. Damn, this shit just keep moving. Hold on, y'all. All right, it says compensation for keeping the reputation intact, and you would let me agree to already own the investment and give me 2 years severance, similar to Christine Turner, another casualty. All right, so it says, "I am very sorry as I believe the time heals all wounds. This will eventually pass. I suggest that I buy a house and that you had a heart set on an additional 5 years of severance will buy out the investment contract we had, 30 to 40% in $100 million partnership and $30 million in today, in terms and conditions to agree." All right, it says that's what I would have done, but in your shoes. All right, let me go down. It says what I did to receive, however, unfriendly, strongly worded email telling me how employable I am and I should not look to you for any significant financial help in the future. It says to add insult to an injury, you then implored me to please delete the emails regarding your STD. Your request that I provide you antibiotics that you to give to Melinda in description of your penis. This is crazy. It said you should have made it clear to me I am to refer to blank as another topic and must remain between us two. So this email is basically he's corresponding back and forth with a guy named Larry. And it comes up that Bill Gates is burning. It's basically saying is Johnson is burning and shit, and he was in need of antibiotics because he basically passed that shit on to his wife. So is this the reason why she possibly divorced him? Because he ended up bringing something back to her and shit. that's what a lot of people speculating, that he might have divorced his wife
That's a
based
big
off of that.
possibility.
I mean,
I
and you
mean,
gotta
that's a
think
big
about it.
possibility.
I gotta pull up the segment with her talking to Gail King about it, and she looked pretty turned off, bro. Like she looked pretty fucking turned off by Bill Gates. Let me see. I thought I had it on hand, but let me
Yeah,
pull up Linda
we
Gates.
definitely seeing they definitely doing some type of distraction right now to be releasing this information to the public.
Facts, right?
Because I mean, why they releasing it to the public if nothing is going to be done about anything?
I agree.
What's the reason for any of that? Because they not releasing anything that's going to immediately cause for someone to be locked up, but they have they have those files.
They
They
have
just not
they have
releasing
the
that to the
right,
public.
right.
And
They
then they
definitely
redacted
have.
all the names out of there. They redacting all the names out of a lot of those reports. When
Yo,
they talk, I understand they got to protect the
right.
victims, but are these ongoing investigations? Because if they are already done with and Epstein is dead, why can't they release the
Why
name?
can't they release them? Right.
Right, unless these are new cases that they bring in, which we haven't heard nothing about that. So these are a
Right.
lot of questions that need to be answered with these files. I mean, they just pumping these files out and people going through them and just creating their own stories out of it. It's like, all right, well, what's really going on? Why nobody else is going to jail? So who were the clients of Epstein, and who were the people that was being blackmailed? Who were the people that was being? Where are those names at? Why none of those names
Well,
coming out?
well, yeah, they still protected some people.
So
Let me
what
know.
is
Let me
these
know if y'all
files
can hear.
about?
Let me know if y'all can hear the audio.
In the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, no.
And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey Epstein exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It was awful.
You felt that the moment you walked in? I didn't realize
was awful.
that. Yeah. And you shared that with Bill, and he still continued to spend time with him?
Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him.
I think the role in the
So she basically ain't really speaking on it. She said she left it up to, if you want to know anything, go ask Bill. Go ask Bill about Epstein.
I mean, her name is still tied to the businesses. So the foundation that they got, the Bill and Melinda
Yeah.
Foundation, even though they
Right.
divorced, her name is still on that stuff. So if they come after Bill, they be coming after her too.
Facts.
I mean, you gotta think about it. Like that's just. And the thing is, I can see them coming after Bill these days, cause they don't care at this point. At this point, they got who they gonna take to the future with them, and everybody else is expendable.
Expendable. Right.
They like those disposable cameras that they had back in the day. Once you done with them, you throw them Jones in the trash. They finished.
They finished.
He finished.
Let me pull
I mean,
this
the thing is, he's supposed to be one of them that's in the club, and sometimes they even feed their own club members to the masses.
Yeah, well, I think it's cutthroat. Like it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't really think there's really no loyalty or there's really no honor amongst thieves when it comes to that.
That's why everything's going to collapse because of that.
Right. Yeah, it ain't really no honor amongst thieves.
Somebody screamed out Hunter's laptop. Yeah, I mean, Hunter's laptop too. Nothing happened to Hunter. He got pardoned. They not going through. They ain't gonna snap them cuffs on themselves.
Yeah, Hunter's laptop.
Snap the cuffs on his own son. Biden wasn't gonna snap the cuffs
Hillary
on
Clinton's emails, all that.
Like they ain't gonna do that.
Nothing happened. Now let's see what this dude talking about.
That's insane, bro.
All right, so
they released the evidence all day, but they know the people ain't gonna do nothing about it.
So this is what he said happened.
Dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts that he had might emerge. When it looked like that wasn't a real thing, that relationship ended. But it was a huge mistake to spend time with him, to give him the credibility of, being there. There were lots of others in that same situation, but I made a mistake.
It cost you your
Definitely
marriage.
a very sad milestone. Melinda's a great person, and that partnership that we had coming to an end is a source of great personal sadness. We are communicating and working at the foundation, and so that partnership we're going to try and continue. Had several dinners.
So he Mr. Bill Gates there, sir. Your time is up. Then you're basically being replaced with Elon Musk. They taking Elon into the future, and you're being you're being basically outed. Prince Andrew is also being outed. Matter of fact, let me go to Prince Andrew real quick.
Every once in a while, they feed their own to the zombies.
To the man, right? The ones they want to replace.
They look at the general public as the zombies. So
right. So here's some pics released of Prince Andrew. What it seems like to be a teenage girl. You can't really tell because it's like the body is so small, petite. You don't know if it's a woman or a teenage girl. So it's possibly, people are speculating that it's a teenage girl.
Well,
you
of
know
course,
saying?
That
so,
you got worse when it comes to these individuals.
Right. So there were emails leaked, also in the files of mentioning him him torturing somebody, Prince Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
There was some emails that was released, and they saying this guy was basically torturing someone. And them elites, they into all that torturing and
so these emails were released about them torturing someone, but nobody goes to jail.
Nobody going to jail, right?
Like that, y'all. That's the point we asking y'all. Do that just seem like suspicious to y'all?
You don't find that suspicious?
Yeah, I feel like I really do find that suspicious. Cause
it's real suspicious.
If those are real actual emails that are leaked with that type of evidence that he torturing people and all this,
that should be.
Why was nothing done about it? No investigation,
right.
No nothing.
Only thing was done was he was kicked out the out the house, out the little castle.
But how you gonna be kicked out of the castle and ain't even no evidence that he did anything except for an email? And if it's an official email, then and you find some evidence behind that, why he ain't in jail right now?
Right.
Like it shit just not adding up.
Yeah.
Like nothing is adding up. That's what
so
we're
this email
out here.
So they basically blacked out who the email came from and who was from, but the subject line is Ghislaine Maxwell.
See, they blocked it out.
They blocked it out. So
you see what they're doing? Like,
so I don't know. So it says, I'm trying to figure out who sent what to who, but I'm gonna just read it anyway. It says, Wendy, no problem. All right, let me start it from the bottom because I see how it is. All right, said I need to get a passport to identify her. I will need someone to contact the passport office to get an expedite passport. The next email, it's from Brian Miller. From Brian Miller to whoever they blacked out, whoever the email was. So it says back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell. This is what this says in the email. Back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl from the modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex torture. Prince Andrew was the accessory to her death and torture. He basically tortured her to force her murder. That's what this email says. It says Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and me and forced her murder. That's what it says. So why he ain't in handcuffs? Where's the investigation for this incident that happened? All right, so the correspondent sent back, said he called me wanting to give him secure emails, addresses. He says he is from blank. They blacked out whatever it is. the number that came up is blank. They blacked out the number and all that shit. So the next email that was sent, it says Wendy, no problem at all. Include me in on Epstein/Maxwell notification going forward. But I wanted to let you know that because of my unit move, it says the office has transitioned me off this case and added blank. Whoever that was, they crossed the name out, blacked the name out. So if you wouldn't mind including her on any notification, please. Thank you. And I hope you're doing all right these days, given all the circumstances. So I don't know if this was somebody on a case or some shit or trying to, get that out, because they blacked the names out, they blacked the emails out and all that shit. But yeah, it says Prince Andrew was, accessory to a death that happened and someone being, two girls basically being tortured. So I guess this is one of the girls that, so I understand why they blacked the name out, because they protecting whoever this other girl is. So the other girl got murdered, and this is the other girl basically corresponding with whoever they sending this email to. So that's what this shit is about. This picture, I don't know what they threw this picture in there for. I mean, it does look weird as shit that he's, hovering over a woman, kneeling over a woman, laying, or little girl laying on the damn floor. I don't know what this shit is about, but it does look weird as hell.
This does, like, these stories that's adding up. It literally sound like the movie Blink Twice.
Right.
Like it literally sound like it's like they took that movie just to brag about what they do.
Right.
That's the only reason why they put that out, because you gotta think about it. The stuff that they mentioned in it, this guy did, and this type of stuff that he was into, and then they put that movie Blink Twice out. It's like they smeared it in our face. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who's seen that movie know exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's literally like that was about Epstein Island and how they
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that too.
Because it was scenes on there. The spoiler alert, it was scenes on there where they did get rid of some of the girls who found out what they were really doing. So it's like you gotta think about why they released that type stuff like that, and then along with the movie, like it's like they're just like throwing it in our faces, like, aha, look what we could do, and y'all ain't gonna do nothing to stop us, and we're gonna keep the information out. Nobody really gonna go to jail, and you don't even know if Epstein is still alive or not. They could have just stuck him out of the back and say that he did what he said to himself.
Right.
They could have just
because it was a segment. Yeah, because it was a minute. It was a minute missing out the whole, count of whatever the surveillance. I think it was like over 12 hours, 15 hours worth of surveillance. And a whole minute out of that was missing. So how would it skip over a whole minute? That means that segment had to be cut out. So how we know they ain't sneaked the nigga out the back door in that minute? You know what I mean? What happened within that minute that's missing? This is David Copperfield with Ghislaine Maxwell, the musician. If y'all know the musician,
and she's more of a magician than he is.
Right. And the thing about it is, this is like intimate pictures, like they in bathrobes, hugged up. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is like, and then they they got like some kid candy snacks and shit like that, and they robes at a hotel. So yeah, this is David Copperfield, the musician. Yeah. So yeah, this is a lot of people, looking at this like, you don't find this suspicious? You don't find this suspicious?
They magicians. They made the files disappear. They made the investigations disappear. They made all the videos disappear, and anybody who had a problem with what they did, they made them disappear.
All right,
so yeah, these are magicians.
What y'all think it is, Doc? What y'all think it is, y'all? Copperfield and Ghislaine are intimate and shit.
He was only there to Copperfield.
He was there to Copperfield.
He was just Copperfield was just there to Copperfield.
Yo, this nigga said Copperfield was there to Copperfield.
That's what he was there to do.
That's crazy, bro.
Let's just be real. Let's just call it what it is.
Bro, you funny as shit. This nigga said Copperfield was there. It's just the Copperfield.
Yeah,
It's crazy, bro.
and they are magicians. They all of them do magic tricks. They both
Yeah,
got tricks. Geese Lane got tricks. Epstein had tricks, and Copperfield definitely had tricks.
that's crazy.
You got to think about what they do here. This is all one big club, and they just laughing at us.
Right,
You just think
right,
about it.
right. So,
They gonna release these pictures just to smear it in our faces, y'all. That's all they release
right.
those pictures, just to smear it in our faces.
So, they released, they threw Jay-Z, Pusha T, Harvey Weinstein, and amongst them was Bill Barr. Bill Barr, state's attorney general, Bill Barr. Yeah. Yeah, shout out to y'all that just supported, you know what I mean, seeing y'all, buying stuff from the shop while we live. We truly appreciate that for y'all supporting us, man.
Facts.
That's what keeps us going, is y'all support from the people. We ain't sponsored by no corporations or brands or any. We got our own brand going, so that's why we get to say what we want. We don't like to be controlled and shit. So we definitely appreciate y'all's support. And that's that. And we, that goes, that goes a long way. All right, so I wanted to get into this real quick. Hop back into this real quick. Even though we went live about Jay-Z and Pusha T and Epstein being mentioned, I guess we can go over it again on this channel. We went over it on the 90 Day Talk Media channel, but we can go over it again because Bill Barr is mixed up in this. So, all right, I'm trying to get to the file. I'm trying to get to the file, y'all. Trying to get to the file because we got to get into the Epstein interview because we're gonna do some commentary with the newly released one of his last interviews that wasn't even supposed to get out. Steve Bannon said that interview wasn't never supposed to get out. So he sat down with Epstein for 15 hours, and being as though that Epstein was who he was, and he was like a patsy for Mossad and all that. Of course, they want to know what he said in 15 hours. Like, why are you sitting down with Steve Bannon for 15 hours? Of course, they're going to approach Steve Bannon and want that footage because they want to know what he said within that 15 hours. So, and Steve Bannon said he didn't give no authorization for them to put out no interviews or anything of that, but it somehow ended up in the file. So we believe this is definitely a distraction. But what's funny is that they want to try to give us a little something to basically keep the people satisfied so we won't really dig in their ass. Pause. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do. They throw us a little bone just to satisfy the public like they really doing something. You know what I mean? So
that's basically it in a nutshell. That's what they've been doing.
Right.
It's keeping us distracted. It's keeping us distracted off of the other magicians tricks that they do, like the stuff they doing with the economy and all of that.
Facts.
And how they switch it over to this new digital system when it comes to our finances.
Facts. All right, so let me see if I can pull this back. All right, I got it. All right, so this was in the file as well. So we're gonna go over this again. So the date of this is 7/10/2019 at 8:20. Let me go switch over to this real quick. All right, so it says Blank called the FBI, the National Threat Operations Center, to identify herself as a victim sex abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and others. Blank provided the following information. In approximately 1994, Blank, they got all this stuff blacked out. So it revealed herself, Blank, as a past victim of sex abuse by Epstein. Blank described the abuse occurred during parties. Blank further identified Blank as a friend of Blank. Approximately 1996, resided with Blank in Blank. An unknown man abducted Blank from her home, whence she later woke up in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into Blank, and Blank believed she was in Epstein's mansion in Florida. All
Bro,
right, yeah,
wait right there real quick. They
right,
saying that Jay-Z was with Weinstein in 1996.
yeah.
They saying during the time when Jay-Z dropped his first album,
That's
he
what
was
they
already dealing with them. He
that's
was
what they
already
saying.
dealing with Weinstein and all them,
That's
just coming right
right.
off the street.
Yeah, that's what they saying in this right here.
In 1996, Jay-Z,
1996,
now
right?
mind you, this is reasonable doubt Jay-Z.
Facts, right?
Like
Jay
this the
ain't
nigga
even
that just
move up
came in the
yet.
game with
Right,
900,000 that he claimed that he made off the street.
right,
You mean to tell me he was going to secret parties with Weinstein then?
exactly,
I don't know, man. I'm
exactly. That's why we,
struggling, y'all.
yeah.
I'm
Let me,
struggling with this
yeah,
shit.
we,
I'm just
yeah.
struggling with it.
So it's
So you mean to tell me all the way back then when he was struggling, all the record companies saying no, he trying to sign a deal with all the record companies and around that time, 95, 96. So you mean
yeah,
to tell me he was going to
maybe
Epstein Island during the time he was struggling just to
not
get
Epstein
invested?
Island.
I mean,
Epstein man.
Epstein parties,
Yeah,
not
well,
island, but a
but then
party.
you got to, but then you got to think about it too. Epstein was operating since the '80s, right? So he was the man that was throwing all the parties. Diddy was throwing like the black party nigga shit. Like Diddy was ahead of that, throwing the parties for the niggas and all that. But for the upscale parties, that's where Epstein came in at. He threw all the upscale parties where you would catch presidents there, senators, lawyers, high judges, you know, tech people, financial advisors, and that's where Epstein parties came in at. People like Bill Gates, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, like those are separate parties. So you have your Hollywood industry parties, which is lower than the parties that Epstein give off. So there's a possibility if they propping somebody up that they will come to a Jay-Z and let him sit with some financial
Yeah, but
people.
they said this was at Epstein
Yeah,
Mansion in Florida, so this
yeah,
is an
it's that. Yeah,
Epstein party. So you
yeah,
mean to
that's the
tell me
Epstein
Jay-Z
party.
was going to Epstein parties during the reasonable doubt
Whoa,
time
whoa, whoa, whoa.
in
Hold on, but
'96?
hold on. Back up though, because being as though she said, I believe I was in Epstein's mansion, not necessarily that may have been Epstein's, situation. She said she believed and woke up and believed it was Epstein's mansion. If you come from being drugged and all that, you waking up, you see Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein, but you don't see Epstein, but you saying it's Epstein's mansion. You don't know where the F you at.
So now this now how legit? Now this makes me
That's
question
what I'm
how
saying.
legit are
So
these emails then?
and
Because
I'm not going.
she could
And the
be
thing is,
recalling
I'm not
shit
going.
wrong. How she
Yeah,
knows Epstein Mansion? Because
yeah. That's what I'm
you go
saying.
by
Like,
strictly what she said. You basically saying Jay-Z was going to Epstein parties and Harvey Weinstein parties, even
yeah,
during when he was struggling trying to get in the game, and when he
yeah,
finally was able to get Reasonable Doubt, his first album out there, after
yeah,
being rejected by everybody, and he was still acting independently. Then, like that don't even make
yeah,
sense.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, let me finish getting right through the rest of this because we got, all right. So it says Blank estimated that she was abducted on 7 occasions, awakening each time in an indoor setting, suffered from sex abuse on multiple of those occasions in which Epstein participated. Blank recalled Leon Black and William Barr. So this is where William Barr and Leon Black come in. Leon Black,
Mhm.
bro, you looked up Leon Black. He's like some financial guy.
Yep.
He's a financial advisor, some like financial person. So Leon Black and William Barr, current United States, state attorney general, being present during some of the occasions of the abuse. In approximately 2006, last recalled being abused by Epstein. All right, so let me go ahead and switch to the other page. All right, hold on, y'all. Gotta switch it over here.
So
All right, so
to be
oh,
clear,
go ahead. You
Leon
got something?
Black is a private equity investor, and he was the
Okay,
former CEO of Apollo Global Management, which
got you.
he co-founded in 1990. So yeah, basically he deals with equity and finances and all, and investor and a big investor. So yeah, he's the money guy.
He's a money guy. All right, so I mean, then you got to think about it. It's possible that being as though Jay-Z and them was independent and they was dealing with Leor Cohen. Leor Cohen is tied to a lot of the Weinsteins and them because they from the whole small hat community. So it's possible Jay-Z could have been with Leora Cohen or one of the other people that was trying to get maybe he was trying to get finance for Rockefeller, or they was trying to get finance for their situation dealing with Jay-Z, because their money come from these type of people. These Leon, what's his name, Leon Black or whatever his name is. These are the people that Leora Cohen goes to get money for their situations regarding the music industry. So that's where they would go get their money from. So it's possibly Jay-Z could have been in a situation where he was just invited, you know what I mean, to a situation that he really had no clue of what was going on, but being as though that he was getting put in position, and he was, they was looking for finance to basically, fund whatever, they had going on. He could have been with somebody, but
Well, you gotta think about them. That's different incidences she talking about, because she started talking about other incidences when she started mentioning Leon Black and William Barr. So the Epstein
so that's
Florida party,
2006, right?
Yeah, those are two different time. Those are two different time periods. So that's not when Jay-Z was with Weinstein, and she claimed that they was at Epstein Mansion.
Yeah.
William Barr and Leon Black, that happened in 2006. So those two different.
Right.
Those are two separate incidents.
All right, so let me finish going on to this. All right, so it says each occasion believed she was drugged, clouding her memory, attributed to drugging frequently performed by persons assigned as handlers, who she described as persons who's established friendships with the victims. Among her handlers, Blank identified artist Pusha T. In approximately 2007, Blank attended a party following an invitation from an unknown man who approached her as she was walking down the street. Weinstein and Pusha T also attended the party and drugged her before engaging in sexual abuse. Blank claimed to have additional information of other persons involved in the enterprise and the information related to the racketeering conducted in the support of the trafficking. Blank further believed that she was under the surveillance and stalked at the direction of people involved in the sex abuse. Blank confirmed that she was not diagnosed with mental illness. Blank refused to provide her physical address, advising that she maintain a permanent address rather than move between staying in different hotels. So she basically moved around because of the situation. She didn't keep no permanent address. She kept herself on the move and shit, based off of information she was providing, saying that all these people was sex, part of the enterprise. So I don't know who this person is. They redacted the name, basically protecting the identity of whoever this person is, which I can understand them redacting that regarding a person like that. But all the other shit they redacting is like, I don't know, criminals trying to protect criminals. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, fact.
All right, so we got to get into Epstein, man. Before we get into Epstein, let's get into a quick commercial break. Like we said, our videos and our content and our shows are sponsored by nightanddayherbals.com, which we sponsor our own shows and all that. So let's get into this, and then we got to get into this leak Epstein interview. All right, we'll be right back.
Introducing the Night and Day Self-Care Collection. Pure herbal soap and body oil, crafted from high-quality natural ingredients. nightanddayherbals.com.
Self-care starts here. Pure herbal soap, luxury body oil, high-quality natural ingredients. Shop the self-care collection now at nightanddayherbals.com.
All right, we are back. We also have CBD on there too. Naturally grown CBD, grown by the Amish. So in the form of cigarettes, pre-rolls, vapes. We got stuff for pain on there, like pain cream, lotions, soaps, and CBD soap, lotions, and all that. So make sure y'all check out our website, nightanddayherbals.com. All right, so we got Epstein, man. We got this unreleased Epstein interview by Steve Bannon that wasn't supposed to get out, according to Steve Bannon. This interview wasn't supposed to get out. This is like an hour, maybe 44 minutes out of a 15-hour sit down. So we got to get into it, man. So Epstein talks about a lot of shit in this. Matter of fact, let me go through some of it, because whoever this person that uploaded it have timestamps. So let me go to some of these topics within the video. They got timestamps on here. All right, so Steve Bannon, protocol. All right, so old-fashioned ideas. How did you get on board with Rockefeller? So they talked about Rockefeller. Actually, we might just start it there. Unbelievable human being. David Rockefeller explains himself. Jeffrey Epstein, just a good kid. It's like different things on here he's talking about. Depression. Bill Clinton caused the financial crisis. We might have to get into that too. Things about Wall Street. There's different things on here he's, basically talking about. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. Please double tap the screen, share this live stream, man. Let people know we live. Double tap the screen, like this video, and subscribe if you haven't. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Before we get into the deep stuff, let's give some basics or some things I want to do inquiry from the others. Walk me through the Santa Fe Institute. What was it about the time of the math? And this was in the late 90s. So they're not going to hear me on this part, right? We're going to do it both ways?
It will not be on the video, but we do have it recorded.
Fine. Remember, when you're answering on these questions, I'm not in the shot, and they're never going to hear my voice. So a little bit, you got to repeat in your answer, you got to repeat what my question was.
Oh, a little bit. Okay.
Santa Fe Institute. Why, when you're at the top of your game on Wall Street, do you decide to finance, which was at the time, or endow, or become the donor or sponsor, however you want to say it, for what was considered the most cutting edge group of mathematicians in the world? Action.
So Santa Fe Institute in the late 80s, early 90s, I was interested, I was on the board of Rockefeller. So that starts, Rockefeller, it's university formed by John D. Rockefeller to sort of give back to the community.
Keep in mind, Rockefellers are responsible for the education system set up in America. So y'all got to understand that as well. And he was directly working with the Rockefellers. You got to remember, this guy was a math teacher, supposed math teacher, at a university, or was it at a high school first or something like that? But we know this guy's a mathematician, basically. So he's explaining that he's worked with Rockefeller and them directly. So let's continue.
Side of Manhattan, except it was old. It was sort of old-fashioned. They were talking about medicine, and medicine by itself was, again, subject to the ideas of science. They were trying to use science to find cures for disease. And I said, no, we need to do something different. We need to start interdisciplinary work. How did a schmuck like you get on the board of Rockefeller? What year was that? I don't remember. I think 89 and 91. So that's one of the most prestigious research places in the world, correct? Yes. Okay. How did a guy like you get on the board of a blue blood, internationally known, hard research, Nobel Prize winners all over the place? How do they pick a guy like you, a traitor?
So he's basically going into, listen closely though. He's about to go into how he was recruited by the Rockefellers. These are the same people that came to Aaron Russo and tried to recruit him as well. So listen to what he's saying. This is his first introduction into the society by the Rockefellers. Let's get into it.
Or basically some guy from Bear Stearns.
Good question. So I was asked to be on the board of Rockefeller, and I think I was on the board of Rockefeller. There was a money manager who said Rockefeller needs someone with financial expertise because the university is growing and there's lots of new things. You have to, again, we go back to the original discussion the last time. Up until the mid 80s or sort of early mid 70s, the most important thing was your name. If you were Rockefeller, you already were considered to be brilliant. If you were head of General Motors, it was your reputation. It was who you knew, who your family was, what was your character. And then in the mid 70s, basically, if you remember, you probably had a calculator. It was very advanced in those days to have a Texas Instrument calculator where it could, by putting in the numbers, it would multiply for you to do square roots. And that was the first, and everyone who had a calculator was already advanced on Wall Street. A simple almost like your accountant. The most important parts of business were really now going to calculations. So it's not only mathematics, but it's things that could be calculated. Reputation couldn't be calculated. I could give you, are you a 10 on a reputation scale, an 8? What does it mean to have a measurement of your reputation? We'll get to that later. But places like Rockefeller needed someone to say, look, we're entering a different world where numbers and the numbers of companies, portfolio management was going to be balanced. It was going to be statistical. Jeffrey, could you come on the board? Potentially sit on the finance committee, Nancy Kissinger and a bunch of other people. And David Rockefeller and I got along very well. He was this unbelievable human being. Respectful to everyone. He introduced his driver as his colleague, not his driver. He would never say, this is my driver. He said, it's my colleague. And David
talking about David Rockefeller, y'all.
World politics. So David would say, Jeffrey, money is going to be sort of the most important things. People don't understand money. You seem to have this knack for money. I said to David, tell me about your life. What was the worst and the best part of your life? So David said, when I grew up, everyone knew I was a Rockefeller. They didn't know that my father told me he would not leave me a dime. No money. But every time we went out to eat, me and my 5 friends at school, they would leave me the bill. They would expect me to pick up the check because I was a Rockefeller. And he said, I was chairman of Chase Bank. And he said, I remember like it was yesterday, one of the headlines in Time magazine said, David, please fire yourself. So he thought that there was a world that existed that would be a combination of both politics and business and leadership. What do I mean? He formed something called the Trilateral Commission.
Listen, yo. See, I ain't even know he said all this shit. We ain't watched this interview. We watching with y'all for the first time. He's mentioning the Trilateral Commission and all that shit. So for y'all that know about the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, all that shit, you know, people was deeming conspiracy theories back in the early 2000s, like after the 9/11 shit happened and all the shit started coming out and everybody started going on a conspiracy binge and researching and shit. So mentioned this guy was in action around that time. So this is actually probably a key thing to this whole Epstein situation. Let's continue though.
Bilateral Commission is some spooky stuff. People said it was something the Illuminati, there's some mystery about it, people that ran the world. It was politicians, but David said most countries, the politicians get elected for 4 years or 8 years, separate from the royal families in England or in the Middle East. Someone's there for 4 years and then they're not there anymore. The most important people to have stability and consistency would be businessmen. So he formed this Trilateral Commission of businessmen and politicians from 3 major continents. So it was the North Americans, the Europeans, and the Asians. So he said to me, would you like to be on the Trilateral Commission? Now, I was 32 years old. I said, great. And he said, well, you have to fill out this application so they have your bio. And I looked at the list of people, and it was Bill Clinton, former president of the United States, Paul Volcker, every great leader in America, the Asians, the Japanese, and with a very long description of their history. And they asked me to fill in what I would like to have written. And I wrote Jeffrey Epstein, comma, just a good kid, which I thought was funny. Nobody else did. So to answer your question, at that time, I recognized around the world that monies and currencies were not really well understood. But again, it was only numbers. So numbers, and I'll get to the fact that it was bad thinking. Numbers are very good.
Are most people that you meet, even on the Trilateral Commission, when you meet most people, do you find most leaders financially illiterate, economically illiterate?
Most political leaders don't come out of a background of finance. Most political leaders come out of a background of being popular. So in some of the countries, in some of the African countries, for example, they might have been a military person. They were a general. In some of the African countries, they might have been a disc jockey.
Talking about that shit early on in
or
2000s.
in our country, they would have been an actor. The knowledge of money they don't have expertise. They have no degrees in finance. They really, and this is one of the major problems. Their expertise, if they have any financial knowledge, is of their own checking account or bank account and filling in their own taxes. So many world leaders who don't really have a financial underpinning make fundamental errors when it comes to money on a country or institutional level. Let me give you an example. If you, Mr. Bannon, if I said your assets increased last year, you'd say, that sounds pretty good. And I said, what does that mean to you? You'd say, well, I have more money. I guess I'm wealthier. I'd say yes. And if your debt increased, would you feel wealthier or poorer? You'd say, well, I don't want to have increased debt. I don't like the idea of that sound, increased debt. Now, that and world leaders understand when their assets go up, they feel better. However, institutions like banks, things that people don't really understand are financial underpinnings of banks. When I say your bank, Mr. Bannon, you have the Bannon Bank, you doubled your assets. Sounds good, but what does it really mean? It means people owe you more money. You don't have any more money. What? Yeah. A bank's assets are how much it is owed by other people. That's crazy. So if the bank goes from $2 billion of assets to $10 billion, it means people owe it an additional $8 billion, but their assets have gone up. So the terminology of assets and liabilities is different for banks. It's not natural. And what most people, and you ask questions about world leaders, there's many people, I think your old boss Mercer understood, there's a fundamental part of money which is called fractionalized banking. And fractionalized banking is something that finance people understand, and the people on the street, and when I say people on the street, that's where I was when I started on Wall Street, would find it impossible to believe. Wow. Impossible. Why? Bannon Bank, I give you $1, just one single dollar. In our system of banking, I would say, okay, Steve, I gave you $1. How much could you lend out to your friends? And your natural reaction would be probably something less than $1 because I want to keep something in my pocket. The way our system works is if you as a bank are holding my $1, you can lend out an additional $8 or $9. No, it's impossible. I only have $1, Jeffrey. We have something called fractionalized reserves, which is if you have 1, you can lend out 9. That's the way our system works. And so not only do world leaders not understand banking, but the man on the street, my father who worked in the park department, it would be beyond his imagination that people could lend out more money than they actually had in their pocket. Next question.
Well, how did this, in understanding that, when you get on something like the Trilateral Commission, you're on the board at Rockefeller, which is the most advanced research. You get brought into the Trilateral, which is the elite of the elite. How, since you're only at that time
30-something years old,
8 years from teaching at Dalton, right? You're Dalton.
No, 10 years.
10 years teaching at Dalton.
Yes.
Walk us through. I mean, put us in the room. Walk me through exactly what it felt like. What it felt like being on the board at Rockefeller. We got these Nobel laureates, and you're sitting there making decisions, and you start to meet these people at Rockefeller. And you start to meet these people at the Trilateral Commission. What did it feel like?
It's a great question. So what did it feel
That's
like?
what I'm in the business of asking.
Yeah. What did it feel like meeting some of these people like Kissinger or Rockefeller? And those are two extraordinary people. But in general, I think the question, the people on Wall Street, I tell the story, the first day, one of the first days when I was in Wall Street, someone said to me, would you like to buy ATV? And I could.
It seemed like he got the same recruitment as Bernie Madoff. They came to Aaron Russo, tried to recruit him. Y'all know Aaron Russo was the producer of the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. You know, he did the Freedom to America, the Freedom to Fascism documentary. Y'all probably can see that on YouTube. But it sounds like that's the same recruitment, the same style, same everything. Basically, join the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations. Like, join these, these elite organizations, and you would basically advance. And that seemed like Epstein got the same, invitation.
And you know what? You can find his client list. All you gotta do is investigate who was in the Trilateral Commission.
Right, exactly.
Who are the people, the Bilderberg Group. Those are the individuals. Those are the powerful individuals that's being protected.
I think you
ain't gonna see no Rockefeller or Rothschild name on there.
Bro, you on to something. You said around that time, see who was basically on the board around that time.
Yeah, who's on the board around it? Yeah, on the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg Group. Those are very powerful groups that decide all the policy for the globe.
Right.
All the policies, like all the things that they call laws that we have to follow, that they live above and they could break. All those laws are created in those meetings at the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group. All them places that's where they decide our lives, our day-to-day lives, everything that they're going to involve every country in, whether it's a war, whether it's a new virus, whatever it is discussed at those meetings.
Right.
And Epstein appeared at a lot of those meetings. So that goes to show you who his clients are. And those people at those meetings are very powerful individuals, world leaders, big financiers, owners of banks, central banks. So we talking like world leaders, y'all, like presidents and prime ministers. Then you got Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and all these other individuals there at these meetings deciding how they're going to dictate our lives every day. And the thing is, see, I see somebody in the chat saying Democrats, but it ain't got nothing to do with Democrats because it's a global thing. You got to understand, there's no Democrats and Republicans over there in Germany or over there in England. Like, this is a global thing.
We talking about global
we talking about global
organization, right?
Yeah, we talking about global people who's into globalism.
Yeah, this supersedes past our elections, and these are the people that pick our president, that select, because it's a selection, not an election. With the people that he's talking about are the people that select the presidents, line them up for the next 20, 30 years. They already handpicked already. So we're talking about these people. These ain't got nothing to do with Democrats and Republicans. These are global entities we're talking about. So y'all need to get that Democrat and Republican shit out y'all head. When
this ain't got nothing to do. This is bigger than that.
Yeah, please get that shit out y'all head when we talking about this live streaming. It supersedes past Democrat and Republican. It has nothing to do with that shit.
Right.
We talking about the people that control Democrat and Republican.
Facts. Equally control both sides. It's like they're at the end of the day, both sides work for these people.
Right. And Epstein was work for them. He's telling you how he got recruited. See, I didn't even know this motherfucker got recruited directly from David Rockefeller. See, we didn't even know that. We didn't even know this motherfucker got recruited from David Rockefeller himself.
Did I go to show you who was backing him? If somebody powerful as David Rockefeller was backing Epstein, then he had access to any circle out there.
Right. Damn, he got back directly from Rockefellers, bro. That's
So that's
crazy.
who he was the representative of.
Damn.
So you want to know who his client list is? That's his client list.
Damn, if I'd have known how to do that shit in the time. Well, that might have to be the next live stream. Fucking go over, you know, Epstein being, recruited by Rockefellers, and then we could get to pick and see who was around the Trilateral Commission around that time when he got recruited. And those names right there are the people that he was dealing with directly.
I mean, we've been mentioning these names though on these live streams and saying
Right.
that those are the ones who really running the show.
Right.
And then we already knew Epstein was tied to some very powerful people. I mean, look how he was close with Prince Andrew and all the presidents of the United States, Clinton, you know what I'm saying? Hillary, Trump. Like, you gotta think about it. Like, he was around powerful people. So obviously he was in bed with the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and Kissinger and all these individuals. Of course, he was around all these individuals. So, and that's his client list. Who else? Like, we want to know, all right, who was he serving? Like, who was Epstein serving these people up to? Like, who was his handlers? Who was his boss? He's telling you right in your face, Rockefellers. Rockefellers. He's telling you right in front of your face. Dang. He's a representative of the Rockefellers, and they run shit.
That's crazy. We didn't even notice he got recruited directly from the Rockefellers. Like, so
yeah.
Now it all makes sense. Now it's coming together and it all makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure, I couldn't figure out what stock had a symbol of ATV. And when I finally said, well, I can't find it. And they said, what's the matter with you? Do you want to buy ATV? Which is, he was selling hot televisions, stolen televisions from the floor of the American Stock Exchange, referred to in common parlance as the televisions fell off the truck. So I knew what that phrase meant from Coney Island. But what I found was most people, would be in business, in normal life, or the world leaders, don't really understand money. It is something they think about. They have a sense of what it is. They certainly want more of it. But they also make statements like, we want more money, but we don't want more debt, which just shows a misunderstanding of what money at its core really is. So most people don't, they want to make it, they want to save it, but to understand it intimately is not a normal characteristic.
At the first trilateral.
Is it the first trilateral? Yeah. All right, so they're going into the first trilateral commission meeting. That's what he's about to talk about. Please double tap the screen, y'all. Please like this video, share this out. This is Epstein, basically a leak interview from Steve Bannon that wasn't supposed to get out, but I guess being as though he sat down with Epstein for 15 hours, I'm pretty sure the elites want to know what the fuck you sat down with Steve Bannon for 15 hours and said. So this is basically an hour and some change worth of footage that got out of 15 hours, 16 hours worth of sit down that wasn't supposed to get out. So this is Epstein speaking about how he got recruited by David Rockefeller directly.
And I see how people are saying that Epstein was, down with Israel and all that. Y'all gotta understand, it's the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds' money combined is what put Israel together.
Right.
Like, Israel is ran by the finances behind the Rockefellers and Rothschilds empire.
Right, because they're the bankers. Right.
Yeah, they're the bankers.
They're the central bankers.
Right, they the central bankers, and you gotta think about it. They're who's in control of them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta think about it. Rothschilds and Rockefellers are also basically advisors / representatives of even families that before them.
Right.
Like, you gotta think about it, and these are the ones who pick the popes, like in the Vatican and all that. Like, this is the power structure on the planet right now, and it's been like this for centuries, with the Vatican at the top and the families that run the Vatican. You gotta understand, the Vatican was even hijacked at a certain amount of time by these old families that's been running shit.
Yeah, because
the representatives are the Rockefellers and Rothschilds are the representatives of these individuals.
Right, because y'all keep mentioning Israel, but you gotta realize Rome Rome had Israel basically under their thumb. So you got to think about Rome. Rome still existed. That'll be Vatican. That'll be the popes and them. They still, so they're the ones. They are head of Israel. So you want to talk about Israel? Israel still be under the Roman Empire, which is Vatican.
Right.
So they the ones run shit, not Israel. Israel ain't running shit over Vatican. Vatican is Rome.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
it's more so a partnership, but you know,
Yeah, but they got
Vatican
the
is the older, because that's
right.
not the Israel from the Bible. I don't know why people
Nah,
think that.
yeah, that's not the Israel from the
The
Bible.
Israel of today, that's Palestine.
Right.
That's not Israel at all. So that
Facts.
people got to understand that history first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the same Israel that's from the Bible that's being spoke about. It's not the same.
Damn sure ain't.
This Israel that you see these days is ran by the oligarchs. It's ran by the bankers, the oligarchs, and all of them. That they're operating through Israel and the United States. Mainly Israel and the United States. That's what they operating through.
Mm-hmm.
They occupying, they spying on everybody using Israel and controlling the finances, and the United States is the muscle. They like using the United States military to occupy areas that's not in, that's in agreement with the bankers. Because you realize they love invading countries who don't accept those central banks from those bankers. And they're the ones that's really running everything. Because you heard what Epstein just said about how they do fiat currency. That's how they get countries in debt. Because when you in debt, it looked like you got money and extra assets. That's what he was saying. Because when you got when you basically doing fractional reserve banking, all the debt that you got, you can mark that down as assets. So you marking your debt down that you don't even got no money. So all these people, all these banks and all these billionaires, they ain't even got no money. This is all IOUs.
Fact.
And that's what Epstein was just breaking down. Like,
promissory
people
notes.
don't
That's where
even
promissory
understand their
notes came
banking
in at.
system.
Right.
And that's how the central banks was able to take over every country in the world who contained a central bank, because they use debt as money.
Right.
And these banks love getting in debt because they can mark it down like they got money, and they just loan more debt out to people. That's all they doing. They loaning negatives out. So they ain't really got that 100 million right on the spot there. About 80 or 90% of that is how much other people owe them.
Facts.
And they marking it down like they got that money in the bank, and it's really a bunch of IOUs when they open up that vault.
Exactly.
So they ain't really, so the money system is broke. Like, y'all gotta understand, the economy is really no money flow. There's no capital. There's no real liquid. All of it is just a bunch of IOUs. So they stole all the money already. And the only ones who basically got all the money is the ones who got everybody in debt, and that's the central banks. The central banks got all these countries, including the citizens, in debt through a method called fractional reserve banking. Because what we do, we borrow money from these central countries, borrow money from these central banks at a high interest rate.
Facts.
So the more money that they borrow, the more the country goes into debt, and the central bank gets wealthier. But then, guess who owes the central banks? The countries put it on the citizens. So they squeeze us for taxes to pay the interest back on the money that they got loaned from the central banks.
$38 trillion in debt is what we facing there. And you got to realize, at a time like this where all this shit is being put out in the media with the Epstein files and all that, you got to realize our tax dollars is what funded all this shit. That's why we don't understand why we still standing in a line voting every 4 years. At this time, it's like, fuck y'all, fuck voting and paying taxes. Like, y'all robbed us already. So what y'all forcing us to do now? Y'all already robbed every goddamn thing. So y'all trying to make us still vote and pay taxes after y'all done robbed the country and it's $38 trillion in debt. It's like, man, fuck y'all at this point. That's how the citizens should be saying, fuck y'all.
Well, that's how they do war.
You know what I mean?
That's how they do a covert war on the citizens.
Yeah.
They do it through stuff like, and when I say covert, It's an active war against us in America. Our own government has an active war against its citizens, and we just don't see it yet. And one of the ways they do that is through finance and through regulation that only benefits themselves and only benefits the corporations that pay them money. That's how our government operate now. But everything is against the citizens. It don't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. It don't matter. They wage war on us. And I'm sorry, y'all Trump lovers. Trump is no better than the Biden administration. They all bad because Trump was put there to put those tariffs in place so they can raise prices even more of goods because we have to pay all the penalties on the tariffs. Because you gotta think about it. When he charged other countries a tariff to export goods here, with businesses here use those goods to run their business, they're going to charge extra for those goods. So the businesses here, the small businesses are going to get affected. The medium sized, the small businesses are going to get affected because most of the corporations got businesses overseas. So they only exporting stuff from themselves. You don't see it as an export from China or anything like that. They operate in China. They don't even care about any of that. They got ways, they got loopholes around that. It's the middle class and the regular people who get affected by those tariffs. The government makes money off of those tariffs that don't benefit the people. The tariffs don't benefit the United States citizens at all. Like he's talking about all this money the country made off of the tariffs, but the citizens don't see any of that money. We don't see it. So he's there as a attack on our financial. Because you attack us, you don't even need to pour no guns out on. All you gotta do is keep raising our bills. That's it. And we all be homeless because we all can't help but keep playing the game. We all playing this financial game. So all they gotta keep doing is keep doing stuff, acting like they're slow. So the prices keep going up and the cost of living keep going up, but our paychecks ain't going up. Then that's a form of warfare. That's financial warfare on the citizens that they're doing. That's a form of financial warfare, y'all. And that's better than invading your home with a gun in your neighborhood with a tank.
Yeah, they ain't
financial warfare works better than that.
Right. Yeah, they ain't got to do
because when everybody go broke, they can say, and everybody basically go homeless. The government and the corporations just buy everything up, penny on the dollar. That's how they attack us. They keep us scared to make us think they're gonna send tanks in our neighborhoods and take us over that way. But they say, no, we don't even need to do that to Americans. All we gotta do is just make them broke by raising the cost of living and inserting things like tariffs and all this type of shit. So it can raise the cost of living to the point where they all homeless. Because Americans is gonna play the game. That's one thing that they know. If there's anything, they know Americans is gonna play that financial game that's set before us.
So this, you gotta realize, this is shit that they sit around and talk about at the, at the CFR. I mean, at the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg. This the shit that they discuss of how they going, how they gonna rob the fucking rob what country and what they gonna go there and take over. Like them going into Venezuela and taking the oil, nigga. That shit was already in the plan already.
It was already in the plan. Same when they went into Iraq and did what they did in Iraq. Same thing what they did in Afghanistan when they went into Afghanistan. Like they know exact same thing they did to Libya when they went in to get Gaddafi out of there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the same playbook. It's the same playbook, y'all. They going to get you up out of here if you don't agree with going into debt from their central banks. Because that's a war that they waging. It's a financial war. See, people think they hear World War III and they think that it's just with bombs and bullets.
No.
Like there are wars out there that's highly more effective than bombs and bullets. And financial was one of them.
Financial is one and biological warfare is another.
Facts.
They poison your food, poison your air and your water supply.
Slow poison.
Keep you docile, slow kill.
Yeah.
And they could pull off a genocide by slow kill. Make everybody get cancer, make everybody get, COVID-19.
And tell you that it's coming out. They tell you they don't know where the cancer coming from.
Right.
Or they blame something like meat or something like this and that. Right. Knowing that they injected the stuff with chemicals. That's why you get sick from it. It's not like just meat gives you illness. It's because they injecting the shit.
Right.
You injecting it with chemicals, of course it's going to give you illness. It ain't the meat itself.
Right. So you got to realize multiple wars going on at once. You do have the physical war against the citizens where they bring in military on the streets. They usually do that when the country's switching to a dictatorship.
That's in small dosages, though.
Yeah, right. Look, listen, that's one of the warfares. The other one is biological, chemical warfare, and the other one is financial. So they got World War III. That's the three wars right there.
Information.
Right.
Don't forget about
information war.
warfare and propaganda. That's another form of warfare by keeping people ignorant. Because ignorant that creates destruction. An ignorant person is get destroyed. So if they want to keep citizens ignorant. That's why Epstein was saying on this that most people don't even know how the finances work.
Oh yeah, we gotta get back into this shit too. Right.
They don't even know how the finances work. Yeah, most people that like for real, nobody really know how finances work. Everybody got their own, but the truth is, the way finances are set up is set up to rob the people. It's set up to keep us working long shifts and still barely able to make it. That's the default setting for majority of the general public around the world.
Yeah.
And realizing this is a system of slavery. This is a system of slavery that they put in place because they know we too weak-minded or too ignorant to even know how it's ran, and we just go through whatever they tell us to do because that's what we think that we supposed to do because that's what we programmed to do as soon as we come out of the womb. Because you're taught, money is everything. Even though people say, "Oh, money don't make you happy," but everybody's still trying to get money, and money is the tool that enslave us with. The money ain't real. If you're an entity, just listen to this. If you're an entity that's able to print up money out of thin air, you can control, and everybody take that money seriously. You can control the world with that. You gotta think about it. These people are printing up money out of thin air. They don't have any of this money.
I mean, we going into an even more fiat type system with the cryptocurrency. You know what I mean? So this is a whole nother financial ball game that we're going into.
And that's not real.
And that's being controlled, highly being regulated and controlled. Not only that, they attaching social credit system to that. So like Aaron Russo said back in the day during that interview with Alex Jones saying Rockefeller told him, anybody get out of line, we just cut your chip off.
Right.
Now he said that in the early 2000s in that interview with he said Rockefeller told him that. So
this was Nick Rockefeller.
Nick Rockefeller told Aaron Russo that people get out of line, we just cut their money off. Now we fast forward and we hear where they actually implementing the fucking financial system attached to the social credit system. Like the episode of fucking what you call them on Netflix. What was that, episode 2 or episode 3? What was the episode of Black Mirror? I think it was like episode 2 of Black Mirror. Remember how they showing you how the social credit system was attached to the financial system?
Right.
So you ain't gonna be able to purchase things, like they cut your shit off based off of your behavior on social media, then you're not able to purchase nothing. Uber, take a flight, shop at the grocery store, none of that. So this is this type of new system that we're going into. Yeah, so
it's all an illusion. You see how David Copperfield was messing around with Maxwell?
Right.
Maxine, whatever the hell her name is.
Maxine.
Maxwell, you know what I'm saying?
Maxwell. This nigga said Maxine.
Ghislaine and shit. You see how David Copperfield, the magician, was they love magicians. Because they love, the thing is, they love taking the tricks of how magicians make people do diversions and trick people to look over this direction when the trick is really happening over there. See, that's what they do. That's how they able to get a lot of this agenda through, by creating a diversion and then distracting us with the diversion while they actually doing cooking something up over here. And then the background is pure black. You can't see what's really going on back there. That's how they operate.
Yeah, I call it the zigzag.
They love these magicians because they operate just like these magicians.
Yo, that's funny. Yeah, that David. I know David Copperfield over there, filling up on Ghislaine Maxwell and shit.
Yeah,
they all rolled up, hugged up. Right, they up hugged up in robes and shit. Yo, this shit crazy. All right, man. Yo, please double tap the screen, like this video, share this information out. We're reviewing the Epstein, the leaked Epstein interview. And he's actually, I didn't even expect Epstein to be talking. I see why they wanted to go, see what the fuck he talking about. And they released this on purpose because they want us to, he's dead already, and information he putting in this shit is
one more thing, bro. They letting Epstein's talk about the financial system because the financial system is about to change. They moving away from fractional reserve banking. They going into digital shit now.
Facts.
They're stepping the financial system up, so they allowing people to talk about central banks and fractional reserve. They don't care about any of that shit now because now they got blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Facts.
Stable coins and CBDCs.
Facts. All right, let's get back into
it. Just give me approximate. You joined the Trilateral Commission.
I think it might be.
And we'll be able to show we'll pull down the chart of where your name was, but just give me roughly when it was.
I think it could be 90. I don't remember.
Okay. Let's say early 90s.
Yes.
When you got on the Trilateral Commission and had the first, do you remember where the first meeting was?
It was in Tokyo.
In Tokyo. And at what hotel?
I would like to say the Hilton, but it's probably not.
And it's a 3-day, 4-day? Give me some
3-day event. And
walk me through the whole thing.
Speeches.
It starts with a dinner. Just walk me through it.
It was boring.
You couldn't possibly think it was boring. It's bullshit.
It was boring.
You had to be stars in your eyes.
No.
Did you fly over privately?
Yes, but it wasn't my plane.
So it didn't count?
No.
You fly over.
Yes.
So he's saying his first Trilateral Commission meeting that he went to was in Tokyo, Japan. You know what I mean? So you gotta realize with him being recruited by David Rockefeller directly and being flown on a private plane over to Japan for his first, introduction into the Trilateral Commission, the meeting and shit. And then that's the type of shit they be discussing, what they gonna do with the financial system and shit like that. Now you gotta realize these people plan 20, 30 years ahead. That's how they operate. They don't be just what we gonna do, in the present. They plan this shit 20, 30 years down the line. So a lot of this shit that we experiencing now with the new financial system was already discussed back when he was first recruited. You know what I'm saying? Back in whatever fucking year he was recruited, I think it was like 80 something, like in the 80s somewhere around there.
Yep.
And it was who were the first? Like when you first met those leaders, you had to be wowed.
No.
You're 10 years out of Coney Island.
No, I'm not wowed by people of position. I'm wowed by people of great ideas, and I don't care if it's the bus driver. I don't care if it's the student I had who has teeth coming out.
Well, these guys have to have great ideas. They're the leaders of the 3 great continents of the world: North America, Europe, and Japan.
No, many of these world leaders become world leaders because they're popular and they were able to get votes, or they were able to convince people to vote for them. I learned later. Many of them were just good at what they did in terms of politics. Remember, world leaders are politicians in general. They're not scientists, they're not intellectuals, they're not great thinkers, they're great politicians.
At the first Trilateral Commission meeting that you remember in Tokyo in sometime in the early 90s, do you remember what were the big issues of the day that they were talking about, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, in fact, it was funny because they were talking about inflation, and they were worried that what would happen, how do you control inflation? And I, as a mathematician, I didn't understand the concept. I don't understand the concept today. How's that possible? Well, when you talk about most things to do with money, money is meant to be local. It's US dollars. Then I understand what it means. If inflation, it means my dollar today inflates and it doesn't buy as much as it did a couple of years ago. The prices go up. It seems that everything is great, but in fact, my dollar is shrinking in value.
If you, and you're the financial genius here. I'm just a lowly M&A guy.
Sure. If you let me finish the thought.
Go ahead.
So if you're in America, you can feel inflation. Your salary's gone up, but you don't buy as can't buy the same car. In fact, it starts to feel weird because the value.
This is why I wanted to ask the question. This is my point.
Sure.
The people who live and breathe this, the central banks, have been haunted by the specter of inflation since the late 70s.
Yes.
First off, tell our audience, how did that happen? The two great financial events in the 20th century, I'm not going to get to the 21st, were the great inflation in Europe after World War I, the Great Depression, the hyperinflation in Germany that led to the rise of Hitler, and then this inflation in the mid-70s. What was, before you go to explain inflation, why is this specter of inflation always the central thing in central bankers' minds?
Because it goes back to the first concept I said, the weird concept of fractionalized reserves. The system is not well understood, and most systems, in fact, are not well understood. We don't know how our digestive system.
Stop. This is impossible. This is impossible. The world banking system, the world currency system, the world monetary system has to be so well understood by the Greenspans of the world and the Bernankes of the world and you, right?
Is that John Freeze?
My bad. Yo, so he mentioned I was on mute. Why you ain't tell me y'all couldn't hear nothing, man? Y'all got me out here looking crazy.
He mentioned I thought the video had stopped.
He mentioned Ben Bernanke.
Stopped the video.
Yeah, what I was saying was he mentioned Ben Bernanke and Alan Greenspan. Ben Bernanke was head of the Federal Reserve around that time, remember? So this interview had to take place around that time where Ben Bernanke was, head of the Federal Reserve and Alan Greenspan. So this has to be from around that time because that's what Steve Bannon, who he just mentioned. And that was like roughly around 2000. That was like
that was when Bush was in office, don't
yeah,
you?
right.
Bush and the transition over to Obama.
Yeah, that was like around 2000. Like I said, 2007, 2006, 2007. Right. This is like right after the 9/11 shit happened and everything started, coming out and people start, researching and doing a lot of shit then. A lot of people was listening to Alex Jones around that time and him running up in the they going over there to the to the Bilderberg group, exposing that whole thing and shit.
Don't forget about the financial collapse in 2008.
Right.
Don't forget about that. And then remember they had Bush, in the Bush term, he so-called bailed us out. And then when Obama came in his first term, he did a little bit of bailout.
Right.
But they was bailing out all the big banks, giving all the big banks all the money. That was in 2008. And then look what came out in 2009 right after that. Bitcoin was created right in 2009 after the financial collapse. It's all connected, y'all. And Epstein was behind all that shit because a lot of their transactions that Epstein did was through blockchain also. You gotta understand, they use a lot of blockchain to basically hide a lot of finances. That's why they needed cryptocurrency to become big. Don't think that cryptocurrency came out of nowhere and it's not a government project along with the big corporations. Because I'm telling you right now, blockchain and all that shit is definitely by the NSA and all the big financial wigs from the central banks came up with all the blockchain and all that. And it already existed years ago.
Yeah, it did.
It existed years ago. The stuff that he's talking about as far as the finances, and he's the money guy. He the one that went to school for all of that. And he's the one that he's considered a financier on paper.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
that's what Epstein's supposed to be on paper. And he's sitting there basically exposing
that shit.
all of it on this interview.
Damn, we watching this in real time with y'all. We didn't know what none of this shit was, what this interview was about. So I ain't even know he was mentioning all this shit in this interview. So there's a lot of key shit in this interview that's taking place here. Damn, he mentioned, that's crazy. All right, let's continue. Y'all make sure y'all double tap the screen, like this video, subscribe if you haven't to this channel, because we're gonna keep this shit rocking and rolling. Subscribe, share this information, man. Share this channel out. We appreciate y'all.
The currency traders, the guys making billion-dollar bets every day, the legendary guy on Wall Street in the late 90s, Versalin Brothers.
Lou Ranieri?
No, the guy that wrote the money.
Michael Lewis? Liar's Poker?
Yeah, Liar's Poker. Who's that about? That great trader.
Lou Ranieri.
No, it wasn't Lou, the guy that ran the desk. That eventually ran the hedge fund that went long-term capital.
Yes. I don't remember.
Who's the guy?
I want to say, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Lou Ranieri is big, but those guys have to understand the system perfectly.
No, they don't understand the system. They understand the local part of the system. So, for example, why is not only inflation, most bankers are terrified if the public understood that the bank really doesn't have their money at any one time. It's one of the things during the Depression, there were runs on the bank. The reason the banks don't keep much money in the actual bank is they assume that not everyone's going to want their money on the same day. So it's not really the fear of inflation. The fear is a run on the bank. Everybody wants to take out something that doesn't really exist. Inflation is tied to interest rates. It's a more complicated example. But when your money doesn't buy the same amount of product this year than it did last year, if it buys less and less, like it happened, you used the term hyperinflation. There's certain countries that are not managed well, like in Africa at the current, a $100 billion bill in Zimbabwe is worth 1 American cent. That's the perfect example of hyperinflation. It goes up, it doubles every day. So people are afraid that their value in the system starts to break down. But so if I said to you, does your doctor understand your body system? You'd say, well, I hope so, because I want him to keep me healthy. But you could have a kidney infection, you could have a heart attack, you could have a broken knee. There's lots of pieces of this system. And in fact, when you ask the question, very few doctors understand your entire body. There's a specialist for your knee, there's a specialist for your polynoidal cyst, there's a specialist for your head, and now we have specialists in different areas. So I'm going to get to your first question about Santa Fe Institute. The world economy and your body are both comprised of little systems interacting with each other and making one big system.
This is what's stunning for all the little guys out there, the populist movement, the little guys that haven't had a pay raise in 30 years. They think that these elites, have everything. The guys in the room making the decisions, the party of Davos guys. You're sitting there, you don't think many people today really understand the complexity and really all the moving pieces and how they interconnect to the world's financial system.
No, not only don't they understand the complexity, and that goes back to Santa Fe Institute was an attempt of trying to see if there was a way to mathematize, formularize, or algorithmically understand what the term complexity means. That goes back to the original question. Complex systems are complex by definition, but there's not necessarily, it's not one level of complexity. As we might say, well, our fingers are complex, the movements, the muscles of our hands, but it's not as complex as the blood system. Now I have a circulatory system. I have systems on top of systems, so that there's no one group of or person that really understands the way the body works. There's no one group that understands the way the financial systems work. You might understand U.S. bond market. Now, you've asked about the trade of long-term capital. That was a bond fund, very small part of this very complex system. So the goal of the Santa Fe Institute was to see, is there a way to get in, somehow understand how complex systems interact. Fast forward, Steve, to today, where Google and these other engine companies, the other tech companies, are trying to build artificial intelligence. The strangest thing that they found, one of the strangest things, is that the systems that they design, this artificial intelligence, which a lot of people have heard about, is they design a bunch of systems. They're called neural nets. The term simply taken out of brain work, neurons in the brain. Nets because they actually look like a net. They put in some inputs. The computers work, spit out an answer. Sounds normal to you. It's because you're thinking about that calculator you had in 1976 on your desk. When you ask the person who designed the system, how did it come to that answer? How did your neural net, can you show me the calculations? They say, no, we don't know. We don't know how the thing we designed actually came up with that answer. That's pretty strange. They take the same neural net now and they put it in front of a video game. No learning, nothing. They said to the computer, they say, sit in front of your video game and learn how to play. It seems that the computer learns better than any human in history, faster than any human in history, beats any human in history. But when you ask the designer, how did it do it? No one knows. It just did it. So that's the first little touch of things that we already have gotten to a place where we don't understand it and we built it.
On Sunday afternoon, September 14th, 2008, where were you?
Sorry?
It was the night they put Lehman Brothers in bankruptcy in London.
I was in jail.
Seriously?
Yes.
So the financial crisis of 2008 happened when you were in jail?
Yes.
So this a recent interview before you got locked up.
I take it you didn't have your Wall Street Journal dropped off to you in the morning, your Financial Times?
No.
How did you hear about because I want
I forgot about this, but yes.
I'm trying to get, this is going to be amazing. Let's go back and do that again. Sunday afternoon, because I want to find out about people, the geniuses understanding the complexity of the financial system. Because I think the best example we have is the financial crisis, the crash of 2008. Sunday afternoon, September 14th, I think it was, 2008, is when they were working feverishly in Midtown Manhattan at the Lehman Brothers offices and at various law firms around town, and with the Secretary of Treasury in the Federal Reserve, what they're going to do with Lehman. They decided they weren't going to save it. And so they prepared to put it into bankruptcy at the open of the market in London the next day. How did you hear about what was going to happen to Lehman Brothers, and what did you immediately think when you heard that it was going to be put into bankruptcy?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was in solitary confinement September 14th. And again, some of the public stories about the wonderful time I had in jail and my work release, which didn't come till months after. I'd been there since June in an 8x10 cell with a bed in the back, a 6-foot bed in the back, a chrome sink with a toilet attached to it, and a little piece of metal sticking out that was supposed to act as a table. Now, since I was in jail, there were no books. Why? There's no library. No library, but you're in jail. No, I was in jail, not prison. So in jail, I was in a place what's called the Special Housing Unit, which is for the roughest, toughest, meanest people. They had put me there, they said, for my own protection. So I was in a 8x10 cell with a little slit in the door where they would serve my food on a tray about 9 inches by 4 inches. And then as soon as I finished eating, they'd take the tray and close it down. And one of the guards said, do you understand there's Wall Street's crashing. I'm worried about my pension fund. What should I do? And I said, sorry, Wall Street's crashing. What's happened? And he said, there's some crisis and some companies are going bankrupt. I said, are you sure? And he said, yeah, it's all over the papers. We're all terrified. We're going to lose our life savings because we have either a 401k or our pension funds. We don't know anything about money. Mr. Epstein, can you tell us, like, what's going on? Am I going to be able to afford my children's education? Am I going to be bankrupt like this company called Lehman Brothers? And there's another company in the front page today called Bear Stearns. Oh no, I said. Why? Because that's the company I was a partner in. And in fact, that was a company I had a very large investment in. So, there's a great story. I didn't have my Wall Street Journal, but in the early mornings, you're allowed to make 2 phone calls, collect. And when you pick up the phone, you can dial a number, and when the person picks up, they say, you're getting a call from the Palm Beach County Jail. Will you accept reverse charges? And the person either says yes, and the call goes through, or the person says no. The person I had called was Jimmy Kane, the president of Bear Stearns. And I said, tell me what's going on. And so that my knowledge of the financial crisis happened with Jimmy, who was at the center of the storm, telling me about what Lehman had gone under. And they were trying to figure out a way, should they bail out Bear Stearns?
Did it strike you at the time of the mess you had made of your life to be in a situation that you're one of the greatest financial minds in the world, looked at by world leaders and asked your thinking by the most prominent and important people in the world, and here you are in solitary confinement. You got to make a collect call to somebody. Did it strike you at the time how all the threads of your life had come together and put you in a position, or you had put yourself in that position?
No.
So it never struck you when you had to make one of your 50% of your collect calls that day, you call the president or the head of the CEO of Bear Stearns, the biggest financial event in your life is taking place, of which one, every important person in the world would be seeking your opinion. Number 2 would be a once in a lifetime opportunity to apply your craft. Number 3, it would be a once in a lifetime opportunity to make money if you were smart, and obviously you're smart. You're telling me here, truthfully, that it.
So if he's an advisor for world leaders around the globe, these are the very same people that's really on the real Epstein list. The real clients are heads of states, heads of other countries and shit like that. Names that would never get out into the public. I mean, I'm surprised they got Prince Andrew's name, in the files. I think that's probably the biggest that you would probably get out of this whole thing is Prince Andrew. But for the simple fact that Epstein is advising, world leaders all around the world. These are the same people that he, conspired with for that, I mean, it's safe to say that. I mean, if they involved with this guy mission was to go around and get people in uncompromising positions and blackmail them. This was his assignment.
Put him up to that. The Rockefellers put him up to that.
Right.
I mean, because who else put him up to that?
Exactly.
We already know them intelligence agencies is connected to the central banks. A lot of people don't realize that the same people who own these, because you gotta think about it. The central banks is who runs the governments, because the government is in debt to the central banks.
It's safe to say
go in and they do whatever they want to do.
So it's safe to say that Epstein definitely got Clinton and Trump in uncompromising positions. They got dirt. They definitely got dirt on them. He definitely caught them basically in and they being blackmailed. They also too is under the, under the thing of getting blackmailed and being told what to do, basically. Trump right now, he's following orders. He's just following orders.
So these people are above the law, basically.
Yeah, they're above the law. Yeah.
They control all the money and they got dirt on all the powerful people.
Yeah. Yep. Let's continue, y'all. Please make sure y'all double tap the screen, like this video, share this video, and let's continue.
Never hit you at all of how you'd ended up in a place where you had to make a collect phone call from a jail cell that was 6x9 with a steel bed and your food being passed in through a slot.
The question you want to ask is, who was the other call to?
Okay, who was the other call to?
The other call was to my friend at JP Morgan, who was then, I didn't know at the time, trying to buy Bear Stearns. So at one point, I had two phones. It was difficult because they're afraid people are going to hang themselves with the phone cord. So they don't actually come together and they're pretty short. So I was actually going between two phones talking to Bear Stearns and JP Morgan at the same time. So I found it amusing.
And it never struck you about how to end up in a situation like this?
No, that would be probably means I would be too self-aware.
You can't possibly expect me to believe this.
I know. I don't believe it.
You're telling me that during that day, you never had a moment. You sat there and go, what the fuck have I done with my life? I'm in a 6x9 jail cell when I should be on a trading desk, or I should be in my $250 million, the greatest townhouse in New York City, taking calls from the king of Saudi Arabia, the president of China, the head of Russia, the president of the United States, to save the world's population from a financial debacle. You honestly expect me to believe that never happened?
You're suggesting I was sort of somewhat depressed, and how could this happen to me?
I'm not saying depressed. I'm saying a moment of awareness of how could I get myself into this situation?
No, I would just say how strange that this happens. It's strange. I'm wearing a jumpsuit and flip-flops.
What color was the jumpsuit?
Brown.
Brown jumpsuit.
Yes.
I notice I don't see you in a lot of brown.
No.
Brown jumpsuit and flip-flops.
Flip-flops, yes.
With no access to books, no access to newspapers,
no access to anything.
You had lived on information.
Except my Almond Joy bars. I had extra Almond Joy bars.
Did you eat Almond Joy bars and things like that because you're afraid of what the cooks did to your food?
Yes.
Is that because of that you were in for the crimes that you were in for?
No, it was just in fact, I was.
Is it because you're wealthy?
Yes.
How did you know that?
Well, people would constantly come if I was passing by, or I'd have to go for my medical. People would either ask to borrow money or make some other types of comments about. In the beginning,
what were the comments? At the beginning, what were the comments?
It serves you fucking rich guys right that you're here next to me.
There was nothing about your crimes.
No.
So all this rumor you hear all the time about people in prison that commit the type of crimes you commit, you're saying in your personal thing is not true.
No.
It was all because you were rich.
Yes.
And it was all because they wanted to borrow money.
Or get advice. Yes.
Wait, they get advice to go long.
Yes.
You're telling me
is this time to buy?
You're telling me in solitary confinement they're interested in going long.
Yeah. They want to know what
does that say about human nature?
Well, what I think the people find, one of the reasons they wanted to keep me in solitary confinement was they're afraid that everybody would want to know which stocks to buy. But what happened was, after this crisis, now it's on the front page of every newspaper.
I don't want to lose this day.
Sorry.
When you first heard that, was it Bear Stearns had been kicked into bankruptcy, 6 months before?
No, it's the same time. This is part of the same deal.
I thought no. Bear Stearns, they saved Bear Stearns and didn't save Lehman Brothers. That's right. 6 months before they had bailed out Bear Stearns, but Bear Stearns was still a zombie.
A shell of its former self.
A former self, but they had quote unquote saved it. Why did they make the decision in your mind? Why did Hank Paulson and Bernanke What's this concept of moral hazard? Explain to the audience what moral hazard is, and why did they save Bear Stearns 6 months before, and why did the smartest guys in the room decide not to save Lehman Brothers?
It's a good question. The real issue is I'd have to go back when you have these systems to the way your doctor responds to any type of emergency in your body. If they might decide to save your kidneys and let your gallbladder go because the gallbladder is less important to your overall system. If at that time, even it's not that long ago, the boogeyman was when said, well, what really happened? Jeffrey, what really happened? What is this financial crisis? And, some of the progressives and the right wing blame it on the banks. It was the banks' fault. And it's the fault of this very esoteric, unknown concept of derivatives. It was really the derivatives that caused this financial crisis because the derivatives got somehow out of control and in the Mickey Mouse.
And that was the way you started your road to a billionaire went right through derivatives.
Yes. But derivatives were not the cause. Derivatives were not the cause at all. It's like saying your hair was the cause of your heart attack because it was on top of your head.
So what was the cause?
There isn't, let me say, there's no one specific cause. These are system collapses. So many times when they have to make your death certificate, when you say, well, what did he die from? They'll say heart failure. But if you say, what was the cause of his heart failure? Well, he had low blood pressure, his sugar was high, he was diabetic, he had all these other problems. But they say, no, we need a word on your death certificate. Did he die from brain damage? Did he die from heart failure? And that's the financial crisis. Many people said, well, what caused it? They wrote on its death certificate, derivatives. But derivatives are not a fundamental cause of anything.
Was it Sunday or Monday? I take it was Monday morning when you made your 2 collect calls and you're talking to Bear Stearns on one hand and Morgan Stanley on the other.
JP Morgan.
That was Monday morning. Did you, Jeffrey, being one of the financial geniuses in the world, did you understand what Lehman Brothers going into bankruptcy, the domino effect that by Thursday, the financial system would be under such extremis that if it didn't have $1 trillion cash infusion in the United States, it might collapse? Did you know that at the time? Did you view that at the time?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Why?
Again, I don't want to bore you or the audience with the idea of it's a medical procedure, but you had system failures. So you'd recognize that if I said to you, did you realize when your father was on the ground and he was clutching his chest and he couldn't breathe, it was a bad situation. He could die. That's how I saw it.
Did you immediately think about the commercial paper market? I mean, the mechanical triggers that actually you had to blow through these circuit boards. Did you know the circuits? Did you understand the circuits? Or did you have a concept of the circuits that were going to get blown through?
Yes, but only because of an analogy to a body. And in fact, from my telephones against the wall with my little metal wires, because the next day I talked to another person in Washington about the issues of what I thought was happening. And I made the same discussion about
They were at the Treasury Department?
Yes.
So in a 6x9 cell the
phones were outside the cell.
In Palm Beach County, California?
West Palm Beach, Florida.
West Palm Beach, Florida.
That's what you juice diet.
West Palm Beach, Florida. West Palm Beach, Florida. West Palm Beach, Florida. You're making a call to Washington, D.C. to talk to some deputy secretary of Treasury.
Someone in Treasury.
Right. Someone in Treasury.
Right.
And that does not, the night before you go to bed, it doesn't dawn on you at all. You never have a moment of self-reflection that, how did I end up on this metal cot when I should be at the center of things?
No, I had a telephone. So I said, I can talk to, it makes no difference where I am. In fact, I'm still talking to the same person if I was at my home in Palm Beach, but I'm here in jail.
Home in Palm Beach.
I can dial my own phone.
That's bullshit. No, but you can also make 1,000 phone calls. Here you got to make one And he's got to take.
Think how much better that was. I had to decide who was the right person to call. That was unusual for me because I would have called 20 people.
And
before.
what was the advice you gave?
I said, you have a sick patient, and it's very much like a sick patient in the emergency room. You can't think about it like your car. People in normal walks of life think about money and things as a machine. And unfortunately, so if your car breaks, cars are always easy to fix. My jets, my cars, if it breaks, I know it can be fixed because it simply follows the same pattern. If this part breaks, you replace the part and the thing works again. People and the financial system are not machines. They can't be fixed the same way. You can't simply take out put some more juice into the commercial paper market, and that's like replacing the carburetor on the car. It's much more, I have a patient who can't breathe, has a stomach problem, can't see, looks bleeding at the same time. What do I do first? I have to think about it as a system. Where's the most logical place? What's the most dangerous place? If your heart stopped, we have to start your heart again. In the equivalent to the money market, why do I have to start your heart again? I need to get your blood flowing. If your blood stops, you're dead. If liquidity, which is the equivalent of blood in the financial system, dries up.
Once liquidity is basically cash, putting cash into the
Forget
system.
about what it is.
Okay.
Liquidity is liquidity. It allows the system, it's the blood of the system. You need to pump blood hard into the body of the economy to keep it flowing. And if you, especially when you're worried about someone dying, you're not going to be worried about the niceties of, well, you got the shirt dirty and there was some damage. Pumping that blood, keep that heart
pumping. When you talked
blood.
to the person in Treasury on Tuesday, the 16th, did you get a feeling as you were sitting in your 6x9 jail cell in West Palm Beach, Florida, that they were on top of things?
No, you can't. It's impossible to be on top of things. There's no such thing. It's, again, the doctor watching the patient die. You hopefully have some confidence that he's seen it before. He recognizes that there are some steps he has to take first before he bandages the guy's finger or worries about what shoes he has on. So you hope that the people in charge, your doctors who are working on the emergency patient, have enough experience and, frankly, judgment to try to keep the patient alive.
Did you think that they had those things, patience and judgment?
They had pretty good judgment, and you needed a lot of luck, just like in the dead patient. You need to, hopefully you put that blood in and it's not too late. And you make some mistakes, but you have to know you're going to have to give it a shock.
In the run up to the September crash of 2008,
yeah,
I guess you weren't occupied with finance. That whole summer, how long had you been in jail?
Went to jail June 30th.
So the entire summer.
Yes.
Before you went into jail, you were still very active in the financial markets.
Yes.
When you say active, you trade currencies every day, you trade stocks every day. When people,
I don't do anything.
Someone like you, or you give advice to people to trade stocks or trade currencies.
I don't trade every day. I think that's like Woody Allen said. You can't beat the bank. So I try to pick my spots. George Soros picked his spot when the pound collapsed. This would have been a great money-making opportunity that passed me by when I was in jail, but that's not how I think.
In the run-up to that, in the spring of 2008, that's when Bear Stearns got in problems, I think, in the spring of 2008, and they decided to bail it out. Did the Bear Stearns guys talk to you for advice at that time when the big crisis in Bear Stearns?
No, but see, again, unbeknownst to most people, and it's easy to blame people for the financial crisis, like you'd blame someone for giving your father the drink before he had his heart attack. But what really happened, the real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton. And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton.
Because of what Bob Rubin and he did to deregulate the financial system?
No. Because as of the last time we had our 60-minute interview, you talked to me about home ownership. And you asked me whether everyone should own a home. And I told you, no, it's too risky.
So the financial collapse of 2008 is because of hardworking African Americans, Hispanics, and whites who wanted to have a ownership stake in the society that all rests on their shoulders. They're the culprits.
No, not at all.
Okay, then
I didn't say they were the culprits. I was pretty clear it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
And why was it Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton wanted to get votes from those people. And he sold them the idea that instead of renting in a house, and historically the values of houses have gone up, and he said, you guys in these local communities who haven't been able to afford a house before, I'm going to show you a way. I'm going to give you a way, because I'm sure I'll get your vote, that you can own a house, because I want your vote. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you buy a house, Mr. Bannon, when you really, you're right on the border, maybe, or not even on the border. Your credit is not good. Okay, let's be honest. And it's not my fault. It's not Bill Clinton's fault. But if whatever happens, at the moment your credit score or whatever it is, your credit's not good. Now, normally, you come to me and want to borrow money. I'm a bank. And I say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bannon, I can't lend you money because your credit score is not up to where it needs to be. Hopefully, if you work harder and clean up some of your problems, it will be. But no, what I say to you is, I'm going to figure out a way to lend you, not give you. I'm going to lend you money anyway, though you don't have a good credit score. And don't worry, I'm going to get rid of the term that you don't have bad credit. Bad credit sounds pejorative. You don't want to be a person.
Sounds judgmental.
Yeah, sounds judgmental. So what we're going to do is we're going to call your credit situation subprime. Oh, nobody knows what that means. Subprime. That means prime is good credit. Subprime is not good credit, less than good credit. So we'll call it something that people really won't follow. And we'll tell you what, we're going to have people lend you money, though you are a subprime borrower. And I will figure out some government agencies to guarantee your loan, though I don't think you're a good risk. So the banks say, no, we don't want, initially, the bank said, sorry, this is too risky, Mr. President, for us. We're in the business of managing risk. It's not our money. It's the hard-working people's money sitting in our bank. We can't lend to people whose credit is not prime. You're asking us to lend to people who are subprime. And he says, here's the key, if you don't, Mr. Bannon, I'm going to make sure the Justice Department charges you with discriminatory lending because you refuse to lend to my subprimers. In business terms, you should never lend to. But what we'll do is I'm going to form an agency called Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae, just another agency names. They'll guarantee your loan. So don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to pay it back anymore. Even though and maybe you don't even have to work as hard anymore. That's probably a harsh statement, but these players, these two big firms, Fannie Mae, will guarantee the fact that that bank will receive its money. Now, the bank says, wow, best deal in history. I refused to lend to Mr. Bannon, but now he has the big brother, his Uncle Sam. He went to his Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam says, I'm guaranteeing it. The bank says, I want everybody. Give me as many people as you can give me, because Uncle Sam is the best credit in the world. Not only that, it's the United States government. We'll take it all. We'll take as much subprime as we can handle, because it's the best investment for the moment. It's a strange investment because it has politics that has inserted its way into the numbers. Politics doesn't belong in the markets, but now we're going to have I want the votes. We'll make guarantees that you who can't get a house normally will be able to get a house from the bank. The bank says, this is the best deal in history. We will package 100, 300, 1,000 of you subprimers, and we'll sell it off to somebody else. And the whole system becomes mired in subprime mortgages. That's becomes the
What do
issue.
you mean mired? There's just too much supply. It's a supply demand problem. You get too much supply.
No, it's a very good question. What does too much supply mean? Well, then you get to people, go back to your first question to me. Government leaders. Government leaders know if they're good, and they can do mathematics, they can balance their checkbooks. So certain people in Congress said, well, how do you value these subprime mortgages? The banks say we've been valuing them the same way we've always valued them for the past 20 years. The accounting firms, there's something in this country called GAAP accounting, which is a standard type of accounting. And we account for them the same way we've always accounted for them. If we paid $1,000 for your mortgage last night, when we put it on our books today, we're going to say its value is $1,000. It makes sense. I paid for it. What's its value? It's $1,000. That's what I paid for it last night. No. The Congress people said, that's not really a good answer, you know. That doesn't give us confidence that you know what you're doing. Because what happens if you have to sell it tomorrow morning? Something's happened and you have to sell it. Remember, there's kinds of stress tests. Would you be able to value it at what you paid for it the day before? And Wall Street says, that's not the way you can think about this. This is crazy. We always value things at the cost from the day before. And they changed the accounting method, in essence, to say not what it was worth yesterday, but if I have to sell, what would it be worth? That's impossible. So what happens is every bank now has to value something they bought yesterday at lower than they paid. Never before in 20 years did they have to do this. So something they bought at 1,000, on their books was 1,000, is now 990. That starts to, you asked the question about what did I start to think about. Something's 1,000 and 990, this person now has to value it at 980.
When did you first start to get nervous? Understanding Bill Clinton in all this. Did you change glasses?
Yes.
Okay.
I changed shirt.
I saw the black. Are you okay with the? Yeah, great. I think we're gonna have all kinds of changes.
I'm experimenting.
Yeah. Okay. When did you get a feeling? Did you ever anticipate before it happened something like 2008 could happen?
No.
How could that be?
It's the word I can beat it to death. Is that it's very much like would I anticipate I'll have a heart attack tomorrow? Unlikely.
Was 2008 a heart attack or a stroke? Debilitating.
It's a better. It was both. But why was it both? Because in fact, as I said, the blood was getting dried up in the system, and the head, which is sort of the central bank, wasn't working. So to some extent, it was a combination. It was a crisis.
Did you see that building up over time?
It's always been lurking in the background. I mean, if you have an older parent, would you say it's possible? Did you anticipate him having a heart attack today? No, you hope things are going to go better and maybe they'll fix it up. The system was getting too complex, and it wasn't based on derivatives, because what people keep forgetting, and as I was just explaining, Wall Street and in many professions, including Wall Street makes it sound complicated. They don't want the little guy to understand what they do, because they make so much money and they don't do very much. So they couch it in words like derivative and stock options and commodity futures and different types of contracts. It's all fairly, everyone is capable of understanding it. It is not complicated. But Wall Street, because they make so much money from doing fairly simple things, needs to make it more complicated than it really is.
We had a very big recession in the early 90s based upon real estate and Japan basically imploding.
Let's again,
okay.
You had a recession in the 90s. I don't know what it's based upon. It's always interesting to look back and say, separate from there's certain triggers, like there in the 70s, there was a...
What do you think it was based upon, the 90s downturn? It's clearly there was a huge downturn.
No, I know there was a downturn. That's what I know for sure.
That's a fact.
Everything else is sort of speculation about why did he have that?
I understand that, but there's some speculation that has 0% probability of being true, and there's others that have 90%. In the range, when you look at the range of alternatives of what could have caused it in 90, and what I'm trying to do is get you all the way up to 2008. Look, you're the smartest guy in the room, right? You know that. Do you think there's anybody in the world today?
Oops, this is going to be a bad question.
No, but do you think anybody in the world today, the Alan Greenspans, the Bernankes, is there any central banker you know, any partner of any Wall Street firm, any guy running a trading desk, and I would take it that would be, or anybody at a Larry Fink at BlackRock, Steve Schwartzman at Blackstone, the top 100 financial guys, and let's throw in a couple of Nobel economists, and let's throw in the best professors at Wharton, at Harvard, at Stanford. Do you think that there's anybody that understands money or understands the world's financial system as good as you?
There must be.
But it doesn't come to the top of the head.
No.
Okay, fine. Now that I've gotten that, let's go back to 1990. In that arc from the fall of the Berlin Wall to 2008.
Good.
We started with the implosion in Tokyo of the Japanese economy, Japanese financial markets. We had the huge run up in internet stocks, right? We had the implosion of that in 2000. The bankruptcy of Drexel Burnham in 90. Mm-hmm. Implosion of Japan, huge run up in equity markets for the internet, implosion of the internet in 2000, 10 years later, roughly. Mm-hmm. And then this run up through the Iraq war and all that, the run up to 2008. Every 10 years, it seems like we're in some sort of 10 years before the 1990s was the 70s.
Sound like an astrologer.
Okay.
And not a financial person.
I'm not a mathematician. It just seems to me a pattern of every 10 years.
That's misleading. That's exactly right. Because people like to see patterns. People like to see patterns where there are none.
So a pattern of a financial crisis every 10 years is just in my mind.
Yes.
Long-term capital that had to be bailed out back in the late 90s when everybody panicked. And that wasn't that bailout today would look small. And it was a $5 billion or was $30 billion.
Businesses fail all the time.
But long-term capital, the Federal Reserve stepped in.
I'm saying people go bad. Things go bad all the time.
Yes, you're correct. The audience is watching this, the little guys, they go bankrupt all the time and nobody gives a shit. You know why? They're a little guy. But when long-term capital management goes bankrupt, or Bear Stearns goes bankrupt, or Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt, people care because
it's an unfair characterization.
Why do you say that?
Because again, it's the complexity.
And difference is when they go bankrupt, our government bails them out, gives them bailouts. That's what happens when those companies create a tank, and our government steps in and our Federal Reserve steps in and basically bail them out. And guess who they put the bill on? The people.
They say that these people are too big to fail.
Yeah, too big to fail. That was the term. Yeah,
that was the term because they was letting all their buddies during that 2008 collapse. The government bailed out all those big institutions. Sallie Mae,
with our money, right?
Yep, all them big institutions that he just named. They bailed them out with our money, and we had to pay the taxes on those things. And they squeezed the American citizens for every penny. They squeeze us for every penny to pay.
Yeah, and that contributed to the debt that's taking place, the $38 trillion. All them bailouts that they did throughout that time, they put it on. It's still attached to that debt, that $38 trillion debt. That's running that shit up. Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
government sold us out to these parasites.
Facts. I don't know what it's gonna take for people to wake up and really start actually, resisting this shit, because they I don't know what it's gonna take. It's gonna take for everybody to be poor out in the street, and that's how it's, you know what I mean? What's gonna happen? What's the turnaround? How are we gonna turn this shit around? What is it gonna take? At this point, it's like if you still sleep at the wheel, then you bound to crash. He making crash dummies out of all of us, man.
And they setting this guy up here, making him look like just a financial genius and all that. When it's really just one big scam system, and he's admitting that it's one big scam.
Yeah,
system.
that's all
I'm genius in being a scam.
That's all I'm hearing is him basically just saying how they taking money from the people. That's what he's breaking down, basically how we stealing from the people. He don't have no remorse for it. He don't give a fuck about the people. He just telling it how it is, telling it like it is.
And they say he's the genius. See the wicked. They love giving the wicked Nobel Peace Prizes, saying they geniuses. Putting them out there. In the media like they these superheroes or hearts full of gold and all that. Knowing damn well they the biggest magicians and scam artists on the planet.
And the thing is, he's telling it like it is because they brag about shit like this.
They do.
I mean, like this the type of shit they brag about. You know what I mean? It's like there's no shame in a game when it comes to pulling off Ponzi schemes. They love that shit. They love. It's like y'all seen Trading Places. You see how they get off on just, you know what I mean, just manipulating the system, inside trading and shit like that. You know what I mean, inside trading. They love finding ways, schemes and scams that in little areas that they can manipulate for their benefit, and then leave it up to the people, and then dump that on the people. Yep.
And then he would just admit how the derivatives market is a scam.
Right.
How they all become billionaires off of that.
Yeah.
But then he in the same breath he denies it. He say it's the cause of the financial collapse, and then he in the same breath says that it's not.
Right.
Knowing that all these dudes been sucking us dry for centuries. I'm just gonna say centuries, bro.
Yeah, centuries. Right.
Centuries.
Decades.
They've been running the same. Right. They've been running the same game plan for the longest. These
over 100 years. Yeah, over 100 years. Hell yeah.
These are vampires. They run what he's failing to tell everybody. He's failing to tell you that they run their whole networks like vampires do. All you gotta do is watch the movie Underworld or Blade or some shit like that.
Right.
Or
draconian system.
Interview with the Vampire or Bram Stoker's Dracula. Just watch those movies and you'll see how they run their system. These are blood-sucking demons.
Blood-sucking fiends.
Yep.
Fucking bloodsuckers. Yeah, they don't get poor.
So learn derivatives. Derivatives ain't gonna do nothing but just collapse everybody. And it's only gonna be a few rich people, and it's a club. They're not gonna let everybody get rich off of derivatives.
Nah.
You can learn the market all you want, but you gotta understand they control of all these markets. These markets are manipulated, and if you manipulate the market, they say it's inside trading.
Yes,
yeah, you going to jail, buddy. You can learn derivatives all day. You can learn how to trade and all. As soon as you do what they do,
gatekeeping.
Yep. As soon as you do what they do, you going to jail for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you got to be in the end club to that, because they gatekeeping that. The whole derivatives market it's all about gatekeeping. They only gonna let inside, certain people in, and it's the people that they recruit. Other than that, everybody else is on the outside. Yeah, you could learn derivative market all day, but
that
don't mean they gonna let they. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna mean they gonna let you get your shit off. Cause as soon as you try to get your shit off, here they come.
They coming.
Yeah, they don't want no competition. They don't want nobody in competition with them. They don't want nobody doing the same thing they're doing. So, you know what I mean? That's how that shit work.
Because they control the government. They control the people who's supposed to regulate that stuff. And you don't. You don't control that. You don't control the government. So they able to do it and get away with it, and you're not. It's that simple. It don't even need to be explained any more complex than that.
Mm-hmm.
For real. That's what's going
If you
on.
think
Facts.
about you have a complex system. You have your body. Now, in fact, the little guy is my finger. This is.
And Bear Stearns is your heart.
That's correct. The banking system is my heart. The system, I can't risk my because remember, it's not only my.
You haven't been able to name.
Hang on.
You haven't.
Hang on.
No, hang on.
I was trying to hang. I wanted to see if the hang on worked.
No. You haven't been able. You're not good enough yet. You're like junior wizard trying to do it.
He basically said the little people is his finger, push the button, but the banking system is his heart that pumps the blood and shit. So he basically telling you right there how they just using the motherfucking smaller man. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, bro. Shit's crazy. It's crazy.
You haven't.
Yes.
I'll say, since we can't name another guy that's as good as you. Now, there may be a couple out there. You're not bragging. You're humble.
He is not.
It had to be sometime. Please tell me there was sometime before you went to jail and basically got cut off from daily information in the summer of 2008. That you started to get very nervous that this complex system, that something was deeply wrong.
Okay, first, let's go back. When I say no one understands the system better than I do, it doesn't mean I
You always
understand.
sound like a doctor. You're afraid he's going to get sued for giving a thing.
Yes,
You're not taking on any liability. There's no contingent liability here for your answers.
No. But the word understand is the problem.
Okay.
I don't understand the system. So I don't understand the financial
Will you
system.
please stop? You cannot sit here and tell me.
No.
What we just went through, I'll go through again. The hedge fund managers, the money managers, the central bankers, the commercial bankers, the heads of the investment banks, the heads of all the trading desks, the top economists, and I'll throw in the business school lecturers at Stanford. Of all the top 200, 250, you can't name at the top of your head the guys are at least at your level. You have to understand it somewhat.
No. Sorry. We all don't understand it. No one understands it. It's a miracle. It's that's part of the problem. It's impossible to understand. That word understand simply means if this happens here, that will happen there. It's predictable. Understanding means it's predictable. It's not predictable. That's the problem. It's in complex systems, that was the fascination. Is there a way to tease out some level of predictability?
So even
No, in fact, you would ask the question. It's a great question, which was it a stroke or a heart attack? Now, most people don't know that before they were going to have a stroke, they had a stroke. They just have a stroke. Do they understand why? In hindsight, you go back and you can make lots of explanations. It might sound good. And if you're talking to the working man, you're using language that he'll never understand. It's complex. So he, just like going to his doctor, he says he has a gastrointestinal problem or he has diverticulitis, as opposed to saying, you had a stomach ache, you ate bad food. People don't like to say it in normal everyman terms. The system had a stroke, but we don't know why.
But you just, okay. Hardworking people, and there's a great social benefit, would you not agree, with people having ownership in the system?
When you say ownership in the system, it doesn't mean.
Let's start over.
Okay.
Yeah. So flip over your phone too, because
yes.
I don't want anyone to see
Yeah.
on your phone. So maybe flip it down or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows what the fuck comes up with that phone?
That's correct.
Which one has sent you?
KSA.
I can't not believe I've got the magic moment when you're in fucking prison or jail, wherever the fuck it is.
It's crazy.
Solitary.
Now, there's a funny part to that we missed, which is said.
Go ahead, tell it.
The funny part is what you asked me.
Is there anything funnier than that?
No.
For black humor,
I don't make any black comments. Sorry. You asked me what I was wearing.
That's right. You're too wrapped up in the Me Too movement.
Yes. So I was wearing a brown jumper and a brown pair of pants given to me by the jail with the word trustee on the back.
Because you had qualified to be a trustee?
Well, the funny part was it was spelled Trusty. So I wasn't really sure. I'd been a trustee in many different operations, but it was the first time it was actually printed on my back and spelled incorrectly.
Probably had a higher level of being a trustee at that than you had at all the boards that you were trustees, right?
Yes, because as the trustee meant you get two devices to clean your toilet as opposed to one.
Yeah, but it also meant that you had some sort of personal fiduciary own responsibility for oneself, right?
In the jail?
Well, that's what being a trustee is. That's where they give you two.
Yes, you get two cleaners. I was a trustee in the jail because I was able to teach some of the kids to help them get their GED. So that's how they gave me a trustee job.
There's no time. I got to go back to this because I'm like a dog with a bone in this thing.
Yes.
You can't. There's something deeply fucked up with you.
At least something.
Well, we know there are things deeply fucked up with this. You will get through in this film,
right.
But you cannot possibly have to sit there knowing that you came from nowhere, knowing that you went to the very top of what is considered outside of science and maybe physics, the thing people most admire because it's like alchemy, understanding high finance. To sit there in what will be the defining financial crisis of our time, like Black Friday or Black
Yes.
Monday, whatever it was in the Great Depression, and be there at that exact moment, triggered in part by a firm that you used to be a partner in and knew intimately well, and it created much of your initial net worth because of, and know that you couldn't, someone who lives on a phone, right?
Yes.
Because you do live on a phone, right?
Correct.
You had to collect calls. You cannot tell me sometime during that day you did not have that conversation with yourself of how the fuck did I do this to myself to put myself in West Palm Beach in a 6x9 cell with a metal fucking bed with a brown shirt that said trustee spelled wrong.
So did I find it amazing that I was there? That's a
Not
better-
amazing. And I don't want to say it's not funny. Oh, I thought
I wasn't funny.
Right.
But
Not amazing.
No, it was incredible.
Incredible in what way?
This-
Incredible, like how do I do this to myself?
No, it's as incredible as me sitting here in this house. They're both just two sides of the coin. That's
He
how I
ain't
think
asking
about
this
it.
dude no real
That my
question.
life today is incredible.
Do you consider yourself a stoic?
No, I consider myself a hermit.
This you know what this interview is just to make
Stoics
Epstein
not
look
very
like a
happy.
know-it-all.
Right.
He's
Being a
like
hermit
this
then,
brilliant guy.
being in that 6x9
He
cell,
might be a prick, but
being
he's
in the
just
cell,
a
qua
brilliant
the
guy.
cell
See,
was
they-
not the
this is
problem, right?
propaganda.
Correct.
What was the problem?
The eating the almond joy bars.
Because you couldn't eat the food.
No, right. And but remember, my life is.
Did that ever strike you that I can't eat the food because somebody might have done something to it? I got to live off an almond joy bar, one a day or two a day or whatever. How many ever sneak in a day?
No sneaking in.
Your one almond joy bar, it did not hit you at some time? How the fuck did it? Let's go back to the spring of 2008. Were you
That's
so
not
wrapped up in
all
your
he
personal
has
issues at the time you were
all
not
he
spending
ate was
enough time in
almond
the financial
joy
markets, or were you
Almond
deeply
joys,
involved in the
nuts,
financial markets like you normally were? in the
No,
spring of 08?
I was involved.
And you, so we're saying that the smartest guy in the room didn't see it coming.
No, of course.
The bankruptcy of Bear Stearns, you just thought was a Bear Stearns problem. You didn't see it as systemic.
I know you keep harping on it, but it's not.
Because you're a mathematician and understands systems.
It
seems that anybody that understands that they had a systemic problem, you at least be the first on the early search radar. If you're not going to see it, then I'm really afraid, because that means that I always assume there's at least a set of guys out there that have some sort of sense that something's not right.
Imagine the guy who has a stroke or had the heart attack. When you ask him, did you feel funny the day before? He's going to tell you, yeah, I didn't feel right. Something was off. I didn't feel right. I had my My stomach was right. I felt a little dizzy. I felt a little weak. But if you asked him the day before, do you think you're going to have a heart attack tomorrow? He'd say, no, I just feel a little weak. I'm a little dizzy. My stomach hurts. So these systems, and that's the issue of complexity. What complexity says is that, in fact, everything seems to go along, and people have seen it. One of the great examples of complex systems is sand dunes. In fact, the sand keeps building up. People have seen some, and all of a sudden, one more sand drop, and all the sand starts running down the hills. That's the way I see the financial markets.
Well, you funded Santa Fe in the early 90s or late 80s?
I believe it was early 90s. I can get back to you.
But early 90s, Santa Fe was funded for the study of complexity theory.
It was studied with math. So let's back up. So why did I buy a ranch in New Mexico in 1993? So that gives you some sense. So I would have funded it in 1990. Los Alamos, which was the high energy lab up in New Mexico, was losing all its scientists.
And Los Alamos, it was where Oppenheimer and where a lot of the nuclear weapons program, the bomb.
That's where the Manhattan Project.
Manhattan Project was as Los Alamos, and you bought your property out in New Mexico to be near that?
Yes, because the scientists were they cut the funding for high energy physics. But the people who worked in Los Alamos would still be in the Santa Fe area.
They cut that because this was the Cold War dividend, right?
I don't remember exactly why. It was because, again, people thought that physics and high energy physics really wasn't that important.
Because that was about nuclear weapons.
No, it was because they decided, which may be not right. This was the same time that Murray Gell-Mann came up with the term quark, Q-U-A-R-K. He picked it out of an old poem, the word quark, but it was mysterious. So they were starting to understand in the 90s that our world of the physics world, there was things that were just unexplainable. They called it strange things. You gave it a name. You gave it some characteristics. You called it had charm, was one of the terms. It had a charm. It had a flavor. It had a color. But no one, Mr. Bannon, understood what it was.
It was called Stranger Things.
Just like the financial system.
Okay.
And you wanted to investigate that.
I wanted to see if we could build tools so others smarter than me could help investigate it.
And that was the beginning of your concept of the Santa Fe Institute.
Yes.
And Santa Fe Institute was founded to do study in this type of...
Can these areas of strange things be described by some form of mathematics?
So that's what I'm trying to get at. The foundational thought, the organizing principle of Santa Fe in the high physics lab at Los Alamos, right, which had been the headquarters of Manhattan, and the Trinity Project, right, the bomb.
Yes.
So you're talking about the elite, the high priest
of physics.
Of physics.
Yes, sir.
Which high priest of physics, some subset of that is also mathematics.
Yes, they're both similar.
Project out. One of the tools you want to do is to make sure that in this complex system, the finance system, I'm doing a lot of this for philanthropy and a lot for the good of mankind, but also to be able to understand this complex system, the most complex outside of maybe our body, of the financial world.
Yes.
Did they create tools, or were you smarter in than the mid-aughts 15 years later than you had been then because of work that was done at Santa Fe?
No, it was great. But in fact, most of my philanthropy in the area of, can you describe things that appear to be unexplainable by mathematics? And can you fund people who have new ideas? And unfortunately, when someone thinks they've been able to, there was a man, Stuart Kaufman, when they think I figured out how to be able to predict the unpredictable, what appears to other people to be unpredictable. But my system, in those days it was called genetic algorithms, can predict what things will happen, and they all want to make money. So they use their systems to try to figure out, they know they have figured out the way to make money because they figured out the unexplainable. They try, they go bankrupt, and we start again. So with a cold view, what I've come to realize is that the attempt to mathematize, formularize, or what in your prior work, to understand what really is in today's world, still unexplainable, is impossible. They're miracles.
The F is he talking about?
Your first head of Santa Fe was Christopher
Langdon, I think.
Langdon from
But
Australia.
Murray Gell-Mann was
Murray
really
Gell-Mann
was
was
the
the-
funder.
he
He
was-
was the
Yes,
rock.
Yes, he was the rock. He was a Nobel Prize winner.
Yes.
Yes, and a wonderful guy. He came out and helped us with the Biosphere 2 project. He came with Chris Langdon.
Yeah.
Chris Langdon was the operator, the day-to-day guy.
Chris was doing artificial life.
Right.
Murray tried to lead his own artificial life.
Yes. When Chris came to Biosphere 2 for the first big conference we had in 1994, he was one of the most impressive guys there among all the world's elite. Kew Gardens, the Lawrence Livermore Lab, the labs at Sandia, all the major universities, Lamont Doherty, all the big Earth observatories, Woods Hole. What set Langdon apart, I thought, and the reason I invited Santa Fe to be part of it, was Langdon actually made a presentation that everything, and he was making this to scientists, a lot of marine biologists, a lot of people that are just beginning, Wally Broker and people who are just beginning the study of climate change, at that time called global warming, that he made this compelling presentation that everything's really mathematics.
Yes.
It's all just back to math. And you have to, all these experiments you do, you're not, one of the reasons they're not considered by the high priest in physics as being real experiments is that they don't have a mathematical basis to it, and everything has a mathematical basis to it. Langdon seemed like a radical visionary. What happened to that concept?
You go back 350 years. So you have Isaac Newton, you have Leibniz. From move forward, you have people like Heisenberg and Gödel, and what every one of those mathematicians and philosophers came to understand is that there's numbers can describe certain things, approximate certain things. But in fact, trying to put measurements and numbers on other things that are really unexplainable is folly. It's so 300 years ago, they said that unexplainable realm was God. And people who attempted, in fact, to explain the unexplainable, who said, yes, I understand the unexplainable, were charlatans. They were the occults. They were the astrologers. They were the con men.
Alchemist.
Yes. Well, no, alchemist was, in fact, they believed that there was a way to transmute one metal into another. In fact, they always wanted to see if they can create gold. There's no reason, if you think about it, they recognize that one metal is different than another metal because it has some additional pieces to it. It has additional neutrons or protons or electrons. So because they thought it was a machine, they believed it was a machine, if I can take 5 protons and add 5, that gives me 10, I should be able to get gold. Move everything around inside these systems, the molecules transmute one molecule into another, and if this molecule I've transmuted it into is gold, I'm a rich man. It's back to money. But there's something strange happens. Isaac Newton says, this is really weird. If I want to push a ball on the table, I have to touch it. Maybe I have to blow on it. But I actually have to push one side of the ball or the book to move that side. I'm pushing here, and obviously this thing is what appears to us humans to be solid, so it moves as one thing. But the only way to get something to move was to touch it or put a force against it. Okay, seems to make sense. Everybody has that experience. I want to lift a glass, I lift it. If I want to push a ball, I push it. If I want to pull a ball, I pull it. But he recognized when the ball fell off the table, it went in a different direction. How's that possible? Nobody pushed the ball down. And he said, this is crazy. Why did the ball go down? I didn't push it. I just let it go. So someone's pushing the ball, because I know that I am confident that the only thing that gets something to move is with a force that pushes. So there's a force that's pushing the ball down. In fact, he called it gravity. He measured how fast it was pulled, but never was able to explain why it happened. How is it? What is gravity? It's this, everybody says, well, why did the ball fall to the ground? Because gravity took it. But what's gravity? That's, as Feynman would say, that's the name of the thing. We have no idea what it is. This goes to Santa Fe. They were trying to explain the unexplainable. Can we measure? Can we figure out a way to predict?
He's talking a
stock
bunch of
markets
nonsense.
Using these types of chaos complexity.
Before we get there, let's walk back through it. Let's go back to Newton.
Sure.
Pre-Newton, and then Newton. What did Newton solve?
Why is these questions even important to ask?
Millennia up to Newton
sounds like some off
had
the
not
wall.
been solved. Then I want to go forward all the way to Santa Fe, what they were trying to solve. Let's start with just 2 or 3 of the basic guys. But
Like he's a
let's go
genius
with Newton.
by
What pre-Newton? It was what, and then why is Newton such?
Yeah, they asking him off the wall questions like shit that it like what the you know what I mean? Like what do any of that have to why is any of that shit important? Now I understand him explaining the financial shit and breaking down the financial shit and how they stealing all that money and all that, but all this shit about Newton and all this extra shit, I don't know what the hell these questions is for. I guess they just having a conversation, just to have a conversation. Maybe that conversation is for other people, for other listeners and shit like that. You know what I mean? Because you know when they do these sit downs and shit, they do it from a perspective of the list of how many, you know, what type of listeners gonna be listening and what type of you know, people gonna be tuned in. So they probably had different conversations for different you know, different people that's tuning in and shit. They want to pick. He basically trying to pick this moron's brain and shit on certain topics and issues that maybe other people want to, you know about. You know what I mean? But a lot of that shit ain't really pertaining to us. I don't care about Newton and all these other characters and all the shit he asking about.
Yeah, all them crimes he got under his belt, and he's talking about that.
Right.
He's asking them questions that don't have nothing to do with what needs to really be talked about.
Right.
But I understand that this interview was to make him look a certain way to the public.
Right. Facts.
Like this is a propaganda piece. You know, it's there to basically make Epstein look like he's the smartest guy on the planet and he deserved this Nobel Peace Prize and he's really just a nice guy, just misunderstood. You know, it's like one of those type of dark psychology psyops that they running on us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it is.
Right.
Because to tell you the truth, he's not really contributing anything to the world except pain and misery.
That's it.
So he's sitting there talking like he's contributing something good to the world.
Right.
That's what I don't like.
Right.
He's sitting there talking like he's like the most important person. You know, when it comes to understanding this and understanding that, and he's breaking all this stuff down, but ain't contributing nothing to society but pain and misery.
Right.
Get him the fuck up out of here.
All the way the fuck up out of here. Not just partial. Oh, well, he is already the fuck up out of here.
It got right. As far as we know, we don't even really know if he's all the way up out of here or not. That right there is still up for debate. To be honest with you, but let's just be real. This interview is just about making him look like he's a smart guy and he knows everything and he's just brilliant and misunderstood. That's what they trying to get across.
Right.
That shit don't work on that. Jedi mind tricks don't work on everybody. The dark side. I forgot he down with the dark side. That shit don't work on everybody.
No.
A genius
in such a I think mathematically they told me one time, I've seen there's been 115 billion people roughly that have lived on the earth. And of that 115 billion,
Are you sure that's a number? That sounds a lot very high. We only have 7 now.
I think in the history of the earth, I think I'll pull up the stat for you, but I think it's 115 billion people. They figure
that probably is inflation. That's why you
have lived on earth. But he's one of the handful of the most important. What did he solve for? Why is he so important for how we live today? And then we want to go through Leibniz and the other 2 or 3 other major ones to get us to Santa Fe.
Well, it's a long journey.
This is the heart of what we're trying to do.
Let me take a bit of a detour just a second. What if you went to high school and the last year in your high school, you took calculus? So Isaac Newton sort of invents calculus. Well, that sounds invents, mathematicians.
To torture seniors in high school before they graduate.
Yes, but obviously, no, yes, the answer is yes. Certain people could never do calculus.
Why is it? Why is calculus why is that the dividing line between, to me, people who can handle that and can go on to do certain things and people just hit the wall, even if they know math? It seems to me that there's that calculus is the thing that changes. It bridges. That's because it's about the theory of change and the theory of how things change.
It's a great question, but in fact, what calculus does is it's somewhat philosophical. That's why mathematics is Newton wasn't a mathematician. He was called a geometer. That's what they used to call themselves. They understood geometry and numbers. But there's an old conundrum where it says and during Pythagoras' days, Zeno's paradox it's called, where they said, well, if the wall is 2 feet away from me, and I take one step that's halfway to the wall, that'll be 1 foot away, and if I take another step that's half again, that'll be half a foot away, and then a quarter of a foot, I could walk forever but never touch the wall. Doesn't sound realistic, doesn't make any sense in our real lives of the physical. But what Newton understood is many problems were like that. Many things approached the wall, or in calculus, approached the limit, but never really reached it. So he said, it's okay, you don't have to reach it. We can do lots of the mathematics as if it was so close, it was almost there. And we could do lots of mathematics almost being at the limit. And this is really important, Steve, for today. Because most of the science up until today was things that are starting to approach the limit. You were taught in high school that if you had 1 divided by 0, if you remember your high school algebra, you were told, what's the answer to that? Is there an answer to 1 divided by 0? No, if you were in high school, it's like, stay away from it. It's the boogeyman. You could write it down as it's undefined. It's not able to be determined. There's a bunch of things. But in fact, 1 divided by 0 is a strange things happen. It's a world of the strange. And what I'll explain to you after is that when you get 1 divided by 0, you get into a world we don't know what happens. The answer is it's not explainable. We can call it things like undetermined. We can have a convention to say it's X, Y, or Z, but in real life, we don't know what happens when you are actually at the limit. So Newton thought the same concept is that the limits were God. You got close to God, but you can never be God. He had this sort of religious interpretation.
Okay, I want to go back to Newton. Why is Newton such a big dividing line in mankind's history? What is it about Newton? What is it about what he's trying to solve? What did they not know beforehand? And because we live to a degree in a Newtonian universe, although I realized later it was subparticle atomic physics, but at least for a while it was Newtonian. So what's the dividing line? Why is he so important? Why is he an inflection point in mankind's movement from the swamp to the stars?
It's a great question. Because stars was by Kepler. What Newton starts to allow us to do is to make accurate predictions. Remember that we've talked about that with money, about the things in our physical world, how cars, he didn't have cars then, how horse carriages moved, how bowling balls moved, how pool cues and pool table balls.
Had people tried to solve that before Newton?
Many
Heraclitus or Plotinus, Pythagoras had these greats that we hear about, had they tried to solve the same problem?
Not the same problem. They tried to.
Pythagoras
he starts to figure out this relationships in triangles. For example, everyone knows the a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. That Pythagorean theorem, which is basically says these shapes in a triangle, each side of the triangle has a fixed relationship with the other two sides. That's strange. He knew again, but it was all numbers. This was a system of things in the physical world. And says, we can start putting numbers on things that help you predict how they will behave.
And all of them was
you
on
add
that
two triangles and make a square.
Hell yeah.
Some different shapes. They were looking at geometric forms. Newton says, well, I want to know how planets move. I want to know how things around me move. Can we find formulas?
We almost at 300 likes, y'all. One more like.
Explain what I see in the physical world.
Double tap the screen, get us 300 likes.
Interact and how they describe one another. Again, the fact that two solid masses, for some very strange, unknown reason, unknown today, attract one another, no matter what they are. People have seen the experiment. You hang something, two little metal balls from a string, they move towards each other. In fact, they move towards each other was very specific. So when you drop the ball to the floor of this room, Newton says, in fact, the room came up a bit to meet the ball. The room moved. It's imperceptible. You can't really perceive that motion, but they attracted each other with certain ratios. So he started to be able to measure things in the physical world. And that was great advances. It also, you wanted to move very quickly. Unfortunately, most people, especially in the 20th century, 19th century, said, well, like Newton, let's measure everything. Let's measure people's behavior. Let's measure their psychology. Let's measure their health. You go to we can have my blood test. Let's measure everything. We measure Wall Street.
Their voting habits.
Measure. Can we put a number on how much I care for my wife? Can I put a number on how I feel? And we tried, unfortunately, we try to mathematize and finer things in life.
Calculate
and then recognize that there's things that unfortunately just fall outside. Everyone, Schrodinger wrote a very famous book about what is life. He was trying to figure out a way.
So what they was doing is trying to basically measure out and basically so they can predict, predictive behavior basically, so they can calculate people behavior before shit happens and shit like that. That's basically what he's basically talking about.
Rather than letting things flow freely, they want to calculate everything.
Yeah, they want to calculate everyone's moves.
Because once you calculate everything, then what you going to do with all that data? You're going to use it to restrict.
Yeah,
you're going to use it to manipulate. Because that's all he's really talking about. See, he's trying to come across like he should be mentioned in the same sentence with Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you got Epstein, you got Einstein, and you got
Einstein, Epstein, right? All right.
Out of here, bro. You
think you Einstein, right? Nigga, you Epstein. You ain't Einstein, motherfucker. Right? You think he Epstein? I mean, he think he's Einstein.
He want to be named. He want to be named alongside of them.
Well, he named alongside of the pedophile. That's what he named. He named.
Compare that way.
Right. He's named alongside the pedophiles. That's what he's named alongside of. Yeah, he think he Einstein and shit. Nigga, you Epstein, nigga. From Gilligan's Island and shit. Who you think he is? Yeah, he up there talking that jargon, that physics jargon, thinking he's saying some shit.
Because they want to calculate the scams. They want to make the scams more precise.
Right, facts.
That's all he's talking about.
Exactly.
It's not like the system. It's not like they doing all this to bring good into the world.
Yeah, to bring uplift humanity and shit. Right. They
So
using
all
that
shit that they talking, as far as I'm concerned, none of it makes any sense because you're only gonna use it for wickedness anyway.
Right. All jargon. That's all he talking. All that jargon.
So they could give themselves Nobel Peace Prizes, knowing that they send funding over there, you know, big large checks, and then yeah, y'all got to nominate me now for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
And that's how they get the Nobel Peace Prize, by making large donations. They're like, you gotta think about it. They make large donations and they come out, they talk the same type of bullshit that he's talking in this interview, and then somebody like Epstein gets a Nobel Peace Prize after he just sent millions to them, you know, the month before.
Right.
That's how they operate. They make themselves look like they're geniuses and they're smart and they the smartest and the best and the brightest, and we all believe it like some idiots. We all sit there, oh yeah, he's smart, talking a whole bunch of nonsense, and we think it's smart because he's using big words and talking about math.
Like you said, all they doing is calculating how they can steal more precisely. Like you said,
get him the fuck out of here, and the rest of them, and the rest of these clowns.
Let me see something real quick. Let me see something. Because I might be able to jump ahead. I want to see, because I like that they timestamp this video, this interview. So let me see something real quick. I want to see where because I don't care about hearing all this physics jargon he talking. I'd rather hear let me see. I don't know which one. I don't know which one it is. I think this might be the one. Nah, hold on. Yeah, this is it. All right, hold on. Let me see where you're talking about Isaac Newton and all this stupid shit. Get your ass on somewhere, Epstein.
What I mean by using big words, he's not speaking in layman's terms with a lot of this stuff in this interview. That's what I mean. I don't mean like just technically just big words.
Is your money dirty? Like bad things to teach children. All right, I'm trying to look at some of these timestamps. What does human life starts? Oh yeah, I guess that's where this shit is at. Where the human life start? That's the shit I think he's talking about. And so I'm gonna forward ahead. I'm gonna go to.
The reason why he's struggling is because he's trying to make sense out of running a con on people. That's why. The thing is, these guys, they speak like this. You know, it's almost like that lawyer jargon to confuse. They talk like that to confuse. And you know, they want to separate people in a crowd and make some people think, oh, reason why you don't understand it because you're not as intelligent as him or me. Like motherfuckers like that, just some ego shit. When really, when you actually listen to what he's saying, like I know what he's saying, but the shit that he's saying is bullshit. It don't contribute to nothing. Why you should get a Nobel Peace Prize or feel like you the smartest in the room for that bullshit?
Right.
You ain't saying nothing. You're not contributing anything to nothing. And it's all a con game. It's literally a con game. Everything you do, all the inside trading, all the stealing that y'all do through the derivatives market and all that. You sitting there talking about Isaac Newton and all that shit, and y'all stealing trillions.
Good people, and this is good.
Fuck out of here. They think just because they know calculus that it gives them a license to steal.
Yeah,
fuck out of here, yo. Fuck out of here.
Good research, okay? I'll take the cash from any source, including you. What's the other argument?
Let me give you that. I know in my case,
Is your money dirty money?
If you live,
I just asked a question. Is your money dirty money?
No, it's not.
First real question.
In fact,
You a
Why is it
fucking
dirty
lie.
money?
Saying his money ain't
because
dirty
I
money.
earned it. A heart.
But you earned it.
I earned it legally.
Earned it through scams, though.
You earned it advising the worst people in the world, right?
Exactly.
That do
Look.
enormous bad things, and just to make more money.
So, instead of asking me the question, should you take the money? Because I think it's a legitimate question.
Do you think it's a legitimate question?
Yes, no
Why?
question. Because I think ethics is always a complicated subject, but I can tell you that with the money I gave to help try to eradicate polio in Pakistan and India, instead of asking me whether that money should be given to these children for vaccines, I think you might want to ask their mothers who received the vaccine, who know their child now won't get polio, and ask them if Epstein should have helped these people.
If we
with
walked
their
in,
money.
if we walked in, you're a
So he was
mathematician.
behind. Pause that
You're a
real quick.
mathematician.
So
We
he just
walked
let
into
us
that
know,
clinic.
and that was Bill Gates that was doing that research with the polio. So one of the people he advised and handled the stuff was Bill Gates, because Bill Gates did the research with the polio vaccine, and he did it in India, he did it in different parts of Africa, and those kids that he injected ended up getting polio, to the point where the Indian government wanted Bill Gates arrested at one point. So that's who Epstein advised when he's talking about the polio and the vaccine and all that, because you gotta think about it. He was just wanted a couple of years ago in India for basically putting all these kids on and giving them all these injections, and all of a sudden they become disabled because of these injections, and it was supposed to be to figure out how to eradicate polio when polio already supposedly is eradicated already. So what are you doing experimenting with the polio vaccine? And they already said it worked already, and the polio numbers were down to the point where people was barely getting polio. But they go and they experiment in certain areas, and all of a sudden those people pop up with polio. So what is he talking about? Oh, because the mainstream is manipulating and make y'all think that they're doing good work over there in Africa and India. But if you go in there and you talk to the locals, they tell you, oh, they bought their hospitals over here, and they injected us with this and said we was going to be doing better and that we was going to get healthier, and everybody in the village started getting sicker. You know, you talk about that. You see how he trying to make himself look like the superhero? Yeah, you could tell those parents that, that I advised and the vaccine got to them and it fought their polio. What are you talking about? How come when you go to those same mothers, they tell you the complete opposite? They say their kids was fine before they got injected over there with those experiments. It was after the fact that they started experiencing symptoms of polio.
Right.
These guys are the worst kind. These are the worst type of con men, because these are the ones that's behind mass genocide. He love putting, little petty crime niggas up there. Shit that Diddy did. Little shit that's petty crime stuff compared to what these individuals be doing. Like the dude said, it's dirty money because the people you advising commit mass genocide. And his example, it's clean money. You don't commit mass genocide. I advise and I set up to where the kids get the polio vaccine experimented. Yeah, they got it and they end up actually getting polio. That's the problem. And that's your example. And only an ignorant person would sit there and agree with this individual. Even as biased as the interviewer is, he's even saying Epstein is full of bullshit when he said that money wasn't dirty money.
Exactly.
That money is clearly dirty money. He just admitted that the whole system is dirty.
He contradicted a lot of himself in the same breath, right?
He admitted it earlier in the interview that the system was dirty. Now all of a sudden it's clean. His money is clean coming out of a dirty industry. You know what I'm saying? His money is the only money that's clean. The people who he advised got dirty money, but once it get into his hands, it's clean all of a sudden. Come on, man.
Yeah, see the money washer, right? His money is washed and clean.
Bullshit.
All right.
The lies.
Where they're giving that money out to these people that are in the most dire straits of poverty and sickness, and told them that the money was coming from a, what are you, class 3 sexual predator?
Tier 1.
Was tier 1's the highest and worst?
No, I'm
the lowest.
I'm the lowest.
You're the lowest. Okay, tier 1, you're the lowest. But a criminal.
Yes.
That the money came from them. What percentage of people do you estimate? I understand you don't like probabilities. Do you estimate would say, I don't care, I want the money for my children?
I would say everyone said, I want the money for my children.
Did they know where the money came from?
If I think if you told them,
if
I told them the devil,
100%.
the devil
himself.
The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody knows it. The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
The devil scares me.
Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Okay, good. Okay, that was good.
That concludes that bullshit. Yo, shout out to y'all tuning in, man. This was a good live stream. I mean, we got a lot more to cover, man. So make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all subscribe. We got a lot more shit to break down. Yeah, I mean, make sure y'all subscribe to this channel. Share this live stream out.
Fact.
I mean, continue to support what we doing over here, man. The content that we creating and the shit that we doing over here is definitely beneficial if you're really paying attention and you tapped in and you paying attention. Because sometimes you got to break a lot of this surface shit down, because the mainstream media is going to tell us, whatever their narrative they want to paint for everybody to go along with. So we breaking that. We breaking that type of shit.
That's why we gotta get the word out and share this and let people know. And the action to take, the people are gonna know what to do once the information is out there and people accept that we all been conned. The people will know. Just stop supporting the system.
Yeah, I think it's going to come to that anyway, because it's certain shit that's going on right now where people there's a lot of things that's happening at one time that people ain't gonna really have no choice but to band together and create something outside of this system that we all know of. The same political bullshit every 4 years, the same agenda, people starting to break. People's about to start breaking away from that, because they realize that shit ain't really working, and it's all to keep us at bay and keep us at, a slave to their system, the power. Like Epstein said, we're the fingers and the bankers are the hearts of their scheme. So if he's saying that shit, imagine what the rest of them think. If he's saying that, imagine what the rest of them think. You know what I'm saying? So that's the shit we talking about. Like, sometimes you got to pay attention to what they say, because they gonna tell on themselves regardless. So you got to pay attention to the certain shit they say, certain language they use. And we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. There was another fire live stream. Make sure y'all hit up the website, nightandayherbals.com. We definitely appreciate y'all buying our products and supporting what we got going on over here. Like we said, high quality products with quality content to go along with it. So that's our motto: quality products, quality content, because look what the country going through right now. Like why we got to keep depending on the corporations, and all they doing is poisoning us every day, and we, they taking our tax dollars and spending us on it, doing all types of wicked shit with the tax dollars. So it's going to come a time where people going to have to start supporting each other, locally, small, at a smaller degree. Because these corporations they running rampant right now. The government, corporations, one and the same.
Changing though. We see
the mentality. Yeah, it is.
For years, and at the beginning of our journey, people was not trying to hear it. The conspiracy theorists. I ain't trying to hear this show. Y'all guys are stupid. You found that on some internet website. It's up. You starting to hear less and less of that, and more of, damn, y'all right. You know what? I put two and two, because the scam is starting to be exposed because the information is moving fast on the internet. Social media is pushing the information faster now.
Right.
And it's it's to the point where people can't deny it, because you look around at your reality and you see, okay, yeah, that conspiracy theory was definitely true. Because look, now we suffering the consequences of that. Now we starting to see the effect kick in. And it's just not a theory anymore. It's a fact. These are facts, and they coming out like you heard what the shit that he was saying at the beginning of that interview. He was saying that the system is a cheat, and they got the keys to the system. That's a cheat. That's why it is. They only deal with dirty money. There's only dirty money that they deal with, because the whole system is a cheat.
Facts.
It's a con. They running a con on all of us. And then all it takes is for everybody to wake up, and then we just stop supporting their system, and then start creating our own systems. Like you said, it is a bunch of smaller systems that create one big system.
Yeah, right.
We can start creating our own systems, so we can get the hell away from their system, which is the con.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. That's definitely gonna happen, because people ain't really. It's like, what you gonna do? Like, you see what's going on. How long you gonna continue to allow this shit to go on before you
No more abuse.
He said no more abuse, right?
No more abuse.
No more tyranny. Yeah, so we definitely appreciate y'all tuning in, man. And we be back on. What's the date? Sunday.
Yep.
Shit. We'll probably come back on tomorrow.
Make sure y'all click the notification bells.
Yeah, please turn on all notification bells for when we upload content and go live.
Right.
Because they notification is very important to keep on, so y'all won't miss the live stream. Shout out to y'all that's gonna catch the replay back too. Make sure y'all share this and comment below. Hit the comment section up, man, and y'all can voice your opinions in the comment section. Ideas, opinions, ideas. Even if you don't agree with nothing, what we saying or anything, you put it all in the comment. Put it in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Put it all in the comment section.
I would love to hear why you disagree with what we're saying, because let's look around you. Things are effed up. Things are effed up. What do you?
Yeah, we on Rumble.
With?
Yeah, we on Rumble. We on Night and Day Network on Rumble. You'll see us because we verified on there. So you'll see as soon as you put in Night and Day, you'll see us pop up in Rumble search. For y'all that want to know, we are on Rumble. We on all platforms actually. So but just type in Night and Day Network on Rumble, you'll see us pop right up. We verified on there, so you'll see it. We appreciate y'all for tuning in, man, and we gonna catch y'all on the next show.
We up out of here, yo.
Up out of here. Peace.
Introducing the Night and Day Self-Care Collection. Pure herbal soap and body oil, crafted from high-quality natural ingredients. NightandDayHerbals.com.
Self-care starts here. Pure herbal soap, luxury body oil, high-quality natural ingredients. Shop the self-care collection now at NightandDayHerbals.com.